talking about, and at this point, it's not even to counter or refute anything. It's just to move you away from it. Now, DraftKings has some pretty big odds tonight that you might want to take advantage of. We can get to that coming up in about 10 minutes. But people are begging right now for some sort of return. Like, think about it, begging for some sense of return with baseball before other sports. And I don't know if it's simply a matter of we as a sports medium have set our sights on baseball as the logical first sport to return. So, and I mean actually physically return, not put out a piece of paper like Gary Bettman did, which says, okay, at least we have a plan of action. And to be fair, Adam Silver is going to do that June 1st. So between the NBA and NHL, you're going to have sports with at least some sense of direction with an actual tangible piece of paper, even if it's a digital footprint you could point to. So, all right, the two sports have a plan to come back. They're going to have a schedule of how long it's going to take, and everything is subject to change. We know it's subject to change because it's right now in the middle of a pandemic. But even as we look at cities themselves starting to reopen, June 8th, for example, is the target date that New York City has to reopen. June 8th. All right, that's a lot sooner than I think a lot of us thought we would be, and especially watching the hotbed that was New York City. And New York City got hit worse than any city in this country, and you could put it up there with some of the bigger hot spots in the world as far as amount of people and positive tests right through deaths. Yet June 8th, we're looking at that city reopening. So sure, if you live on an island that's stacked up on top of each other, like Manhattan, for example, or any of the boroughs outside, and your football teams are allowed to resume, your basketball teams are allowed to resume, your hockey teams are allowed to resume, and the only thing stopping your baseball team from resuming at this point is money, inability to figure something out, money. So where are you that you're still owing, or you're still giving back, or you're still just putting baseball in this deserving picture of your attention? I don't understand that. It doesn't really add up to me that baseball would deserve so much, that baseball would deserve so much attention as far as all of this discussion leading up to it. And then think about the depths of the discussion you get. The depths of it are going back and forth about where you can pinpoint who's to blame. All the money and the billionaires versus the millionaires, all of the stuff that we've heard forever when it comes to it. Forever we've had these conversations. Anytime there's a labor dispute, a work stoppage, somebody shuts the doors and says no more players in here, even if it's a strike. We see that. Open up your books. Open up your books. And I think you look at this sport specifically, this is going to be a major hit. And I do think that there's going to be a significant ripple effect baseball is going to feel down the line. They do, and let's be fair, this is not a sport that is on the operating table needing to be resuscitated by any means. The sport has built-in money coming from baseball and TV deals. So it's not like the sport's dead. I see you, Trevor, from the 203 on Twitch. I'll get to your comments in a minute. The sport isn't dead. It's not dying, anything like that. But it's over for me. And let them figure this thing out. But even if it's focusing on things in front of you, like sports in front of you, that you may not even follow, at least they came back. Like, think about the difference, right? And I know that whenever you start talking about individual sports, team sports, it's a little different and all. But the NHL came back. The NHL is recalling people from around the world, all right? They don't seem to have any issues putting together a piece of paper some sort of formula and following it. Gary Bettman came back to you before, at least on paper, before Major League Baseball. The NBA is going to do that. The NFL hasn't budged, and why would they? There's nothing that would indicate they should budge. Dana White cares more about you. NASCAR cares more about you. The PGA cares more about you. All of these things. Korean baseball cares more about you, especially once they figured out how many people in this country are going to bet on it. You think that your local baseball team gives a rat's ass about you? That NC Dinos in South Korea care more about you right now than your local team. They blew it. They blew it, and they moved forward. They said, all right, well, we don't know what to do. We're just going to move forward. Move forward with what? You haven't made any progress. Back and forth and back and forth. It's a headache. And I don't understand, as we'll continue to talk about this, I'm sure, this coming week. It's more like trying to take in all of the conversations we had this past week and merge it with the preview of, is this going to be the day? Is this going to be the day? Is this going to be the day when it comes to next week? Are they finally going to hit it? What about that soft, hard date that they threw out? All of these questions. Who cares? Honestly, who cares if the sport doesn't come back at this point? That's something I would love to explore. I know there are people in Philadelphia that would care. Not nearly to the level they would care if the Eagles couldn't play or if the Sixers couldn't resume their season. So once they get bounced out, half of them could demand for Brett Brown to be fired. I know for a fact that there will be 3, maybe 4 cities that will shed a tear. A single tear, I don't know, but they'll shed a tear. This sport right now is sabotaging itself, and they don't need your patience. They don't need your sympathy. They don't need any of that at all in order for you to truly care. And what are you going to get back? Seriously, unless they put some sort of World Baseball Classic tournament, the majority of you are going to be rooting for a team that's going to be out of it anyway. And the beauty of it is you're going to be out of it faster in a shorter season than you would normally. And at least you don't have to sit around and wait for an off season in which your team fumbles a decision again. You think people in Baltimore right now are going to give a rat's you know what if their Orioles don't play this year? Think about that. Just right there, right there. That example alone. There's no NBA team pumping up and down right there, although that would be a really good city for NBA expansion. Is there a hockey team in Baltimore that I missed? No. In fact, Baltimore right now has one of the sexiest, hottest things going on in the NFL with an MVP candidate and on top of that, a team that is expected to make a deep run into the playoffs. All, mind you, at the same time that baseball may come back. Man, please save yourself the hassle, save yourself the concern, save your time, save your effort. That time and effort that you would put in going back and forth and complaining about, is baseball going to come back? I've had it. Put it into studying these fights tonight. You might be able to make some money tonight. You know, at that point, you might actually be able to make some money. Instead, you're sitting here waiting around, what, for MLB futures or something ridiculous like that? I think ultimately for baseball, it doesn't even matter at this point. I don't even think. And to take it a step further, what happens if they do come back first? They've already really tainted this conversation. It just comes now as a result of, well, you greedy bastards waited and waited and waited. And now finally, because you knew you were under the gun and you had to salvage a season, now finally you put something together. Is that how the NFL is met this year? No. Is anybody talking like that about the NHL? Yo, you greedy SOBs. They put out a piece of paper, at least with intent to come out. First week in August, we should expect NHL playoffs. That's realistic. Those play-in type seeding games, we should expect that first week of August, according to their calendar. You're going to find the same thing with the NBA this week. That should take over. I would love to get to that point where if it takes over, Now, all of a sudden, you've got the NBA this week where they're going to make their announcement. And look, the NHL got a ton of pub and press for being the first of the big 4 or 5. Technically, you want to add the MLS in as far as having some sort of target date, get back in the building, get back on the ice for practice, and then get back to play. Major League Baseball is going to get swept under this rug by the NBA's announcement. And I do think that we're approaching this moment where Major League Baseball is going to walk out of this negotiation meeting and just, we did it. Wipe their hands after a long, hard day of negotiation. Trapped in this room, no windows. Everybody has their phone off because they're going back and forth. The lawyers are yelling, and the player reps are there, the owner rep. Everybody's yelling. And then finally, they figure this thing. Man, we figured this thing out. Yeah. Then they walk out and they see the news. They turn their phones on. They get all these alerts. Oh, man, Adam Silver's trending. LeBron James is trending. The NBA is trending. NBA is back is trending. Some hashtag regarding the beard is back. James Harden put an Instagram video. I'm back. All that's trending. Man, I'm telling you, baseball has already. People say, well, they have to come back. They're blowing it. They blew it. That's why you have this return to sports that's already here. People say, I can't wait for sports to get back. Sports are back. I'm watching as we speak a UFC match right now, the first round as we speak between Gutierrez and Morales. So where are sports still lagging? We know the NBA needed some time. We know the NFL hasn't budged. The NFL hasn't even told you that they're going to change anything. In fact, this week we'll expect coaches to be able to report to minicamp. Players as well. There's no slowing down there. There's no missed opportunity there. The only people who look like idiots right now, even college football, as spread out and split as the world of college football is, depending on who you listen to, somebody in the SEC or the president of the University of Michigan, it's different all around, right? Even college football is going to give you something. In fact, the NCAA allowing June 1st for athletes to report and work on individual workouts. So already some progress there for a sport that some people in power and position, said it wouldn't happen if students weren't back. It would not happen. We would not get sports back, college football, for example, if you could not have kids at the University of Michigan, which goes back to what we said 20 minutes ago. If you're Melvin Gordon or anybody that's used to playing, anybody the Miami Marlins, then sure, you can say whatever you want. You can say anything. Melvin Gordon shouldn't be ripped, nor should anybody on the Marlins be ripped for saying the same thing. Fans go to games. Fans choose to go to games. If fans aren't going to games, then guess what? It's going to be brought up. In this case, fans aren't allowed to go to games. At least right now, they're not allowed to be in these fights. Essential personnel only. So if you have established a history of not showing up to games, and you as a fan base have established a history and some sort of pattern of behavior where you just don't show up to games, then it's open season. Expect that people are going to make these jokes. Don't get upset at Melvin Gordon for stating the obvious, which is we basically played a road game every week. And that's it. And that's the unfortunate reality. I don't know what that's like in an area that won't allow that to happen 95% of the time. But still, it's something that you can't shake. 800-224-2004. At Shander Shows how you get me on Twitter, twitch.tv/Shander Show. My man Trevor from the 203 weighing in on baseball on Twitch. We'll get to his comments, yours as well, all here on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call. Raiders and Saints, right? Big game. Opening up the brand new stadium. But you know what's going to be missing? There's going to be like 15 people in the shot. The black hole is going to have like 4 participants.
Do you think only AI and D show up
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, AI and D. Right. That's the only ones they got. Like, yeah, that's all we can fit in.
Yeah.
Social distancing.
Both R's.
S is out. Both R's are gone. They wouldn't let them in the stadium.
Which quarterback is going to shush the crowd?
That's what I was wondering. Which quarterback is going to have the guts to go up to a crowd and go, quiet? I would do it every time I was in the red zone this season. That would be my thing. You're going to be able to hear, beer, beer. Which one of you 5 want beer?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, all right. It's going to be a walk, but it'll be fine. I'll get there.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pharrell.
The Cowboys want to make Dak the second highest paid quarterback in the league. Dak wants to make the most money. Essentially, every guy in the league that's a quarterback's making somewhere between 25 and 35 million. Aren't they all making fat money? And aren't they all the eventual demise? These contracts with quarterbacks, the demise of football teams. When you have to pay one guy that much money, it breaks up the team.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Into the night.
Ernie Johnson, the host of the NBA on TNT, joins us right now. Ernie, so it seems to be a lot of pushing and pulling from different sides around the NBA on whether or not to get this thing going again. Do you feel that that's going to happen?
Well, I mean, if there's pushing and pulling in the NBA, it's just a reflection of the society that we're living in now, too, because you see states, some are opening things back up quicker than others are, and others are exercising more caution. And so I think it's the same way with the NBA. I mean, you're dealing with 30 NBA cities, and the rules aren't the same for everybody. So that makes it impossible, Tony, to say, oh, yeah, well, it looks like things are right on track to start playing again on this date. And I've said it since day one. If you're going to go back to work on this, if the season is going to resume, man, you better be pretty darn sure that this is safe and you won't have to worry. And to me, you can't do that yet, certainly. And I don't know if we will see a resumption of the season.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's
Mike's up.
All right, John, I'm curious. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
I have.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Well, this is like groundbreaking here.
I know. I have.
Do we have a
seen
breaking
something.
news sounder or something we can come in with? This is. I did not expect this. All right, here, we're going to get to this coming up in a minute. I want to read my guy Trevor from the 203's comments. Our weekly replay, and what we do is in 10 minutes, we're going to bump it up an hour since we're going to go live at 7:40 and then again at 8:40. In case you missed the top interview we have throughout the week on the second level, we'll replay it for you on the Saturday evening show just to kind of catch you up on what you've missed as well as maybe entice you and bring it in. So Trevor doesn't think baseball is happening this year. Also, a bad time to be starting up a new TV network. Chicago Cubs and the Ricketts family, the only fans that would shed a tear would be Yankee fans and White Sox fans since 2020 was the White Sox year. You probably have some, I don't know. Like, let's look at this, okay? I'm in Philly. I told you what would happen here. The lack of seeing Bryce Harper would be discussed, but it would be pretty much a wasted year. The contract, all this, that's what would be talked about. And then it would be swallowed up with football and really the NBA and NHL, since the Flyers in the playoffs and the NBA Sixers are. So I'll ask you, John, before we talk about Uncut Gems. Houston, city where you are, where you work, where you live. What happens? You don't have the Astros this year. I imagine it would be talked about. I'm not saying that people would ignore it for the first couple of weeks, but if MLB comes down in the next 2 weeks and says, that's it, we can't do this, there's no baseball, it's going to be immediately reacted to around the country. I get that. But the staying power how long is the staying power before people turn to other things like the NBA and NFL down there?
I think down here right now, the Astros have more of a cushion than they ever have. If you asked me 10 years ago when the Astros were really, winning 50 games, 60 games, no, I think we didn't talk about them then. I don't think we would have ever talked about them. But I don't think football and NBA, and we don't have an NHL team, would overshadow the Astros now because of the 2017 World Series, because of Jose Altuve and the big names on the team. I think there's some staying power.
Staying power in the sense that you think it would be discussed. Like week 2 of the NFL season, are people talking about, man, no Astros right now really sucks?
Obviously not as much as they would be because football's king in Texas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's king everywhere.
It's
king in Jacksonville, brother.
I think the Astros will be talked about, yes.
Okay. All right. Look, I think that you have a couple of cities where that's still the case. And I would definitely concede, and that's why I ask you, is coming into it, I would think Houston because of the actual history and recent success that you've had. Also the storyline, right? I mean, they want to go out and redeem themselves based off the scandal.
A big part of it.
Yeah, and I would think fans would too, right? Fans go out and they see the Astros win a World Series this year. It's kind of like, all right, what? It's like Patriots fans, where after they took Brady's everything, the Deflategate and all this stuff, they come out and they go do another Super Bowl. So I think that might be it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I think Astros fans want to keep that so that they can fight back. Like I think Astros fans want to see us win another World Series just so we can prove that it wasn't the cheating.
Okay. That's probably the biggest factor in it. Now, I don't know where else. LA, probably LA. Dodgers fans, not Angels fans. Angels fans aren't missing Mike Trout. They had him already and it didn't amount to nothing. So Angels fans taking a year off is not the end of the world. They're used to that. But Dodgers fans, okay, now we're talking. But here's the thing. How much do you think the Dodgers fan is going to be sitting there crying to himself or herself that they can't watch the Dodgers this year when LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard are squaring off in the Western Conference Finals, and you've got 3 football teams in state that are now underway? And I get it. Like the Chargers and the Rams aren't necessarily seat-filling material, but you still have 3 teams that you can call your own via the state. So I can't imagine, for example, that even LA, even Dodgers fans, again, you have to look at each area specific. Now, the problem is you may not have many examples like you do in Houston. And the good thing about it is that story's not going away. See, that story itself, baseball takes a year off. Astros come back. People are still, oh, you cheaters, bums, all this throwing at them. That doesn't go away. That story is the same. What might change is, and what I do think will change, people's intent on sticking things out. All right, my team's here. Let me catch a couple of games. Oh, man, wait. NBA's back. That's right. Oh, great. Phillies, three games. Next thing you know, it's, I have to balance out all the things that I normally don't going up against baseball. I normally don't have to balance the NBA and NHL playoffs. I normally don't have to balance the start of the NFL season. You see how this thing lines up? Not good. Again, you'll find a handful, and I agree with John. Houston's in there, but where else? Where else can you pinpoint that and say truly that even in Boston, look at all the intrigue with Brady gone. I'm sorry. Baseball's already blown it in most areas. We'll do our weekly replay coming up next.
Hey, Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage.
Hey,
yes, sir.
For the most part, this interview is self-contained.
Okay, great.
At the very end, it's up to you if you want to leave it this way or if you want to sign off on it. But you pretty much ended with his Twitter handle, and then you said you teased the next segment. So I eliminated the tease for the next segment, and so it pretty much just says his Twitter handle on Twitter and then goes to break.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
My name is Megan Eddings, and I am not only the founder and CEO of Excel Lifestyle, but I am.
All right, so you got about 15, 17 minutes or whatever.
Okay, sounds good, man.
You good to go?
Yep.
Face mask.
I'll be right back.
Reduce the spread of coronavirus. In some cities, wearing a face mask is mandatory.
You all right?
We want to help keep you and your loved ones safe and healthy. Our masks actually exceed the CDC's recommendations as our masks are washable, soft, double layer for added protection, and even antibacterial. Hospitals such as Houston Methodist have purchased thousands of Excel Prima antibacterial masks to help their frontline healthcare professionals stay safe. To buy your mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCELLIFESTYLE.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your mask out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
This is an urgent health notice for all residents suffering from back, neck, knee, and wrist pain. You may qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you, but the deadline is fast approaching. Simply call the Health Alert Hotline now.
You heard right. You may qualify for a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace. These items may even be covered by Medicare or your private insurance. The Health Alert Hotline is your brace company. These specialized braces have been tested for pain relief. Call us toll-free right now to determine your eligibility and to learn how to use your private insurance or Medicare to minimize your out-of-pocket cost. Don't wait. If the deadline passes, you may lose your opportunity to get a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace at little or no cost to you.
800-608-1881. 800-608-1881. 800-608-1881. That's 800-608-1881.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. Besthotelrates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to besthotelrates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. Besthotelrates.com, it's in the name. Besthotelrates.com.
Beneath the surface. It's the second level, presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Head out to the Progressive Guest Line. Bring in our NFL Insider, courtesy of Jacob Media. You hear him on this network with me, and then on the Tony Bruno replay at night, also of Sirius XM. First time around with Tony and beyond. Sports Illustrated, Eagles maven. He's everywhere. Football 24/7. John McMullen at JF McMullen on Twitter. All right, John, Ron's going to give you the three stories I voted number one as the fake story. And we'll get your insight and then some more insight on some things in the NFL, including whether or not the Philadelphia Eagles should make a trade. But Ron Culver, take it away.
Story number one, twin tiger cubs were born at the Berlin Zoo and given the most 2020 name imaginable, Carol and Baskin. Story number two, a 13-year-old just earned 4 associate degrees while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. He was enrolled at Fullerton College, and he enrolled at the age of 11 and is now on his way to the University of Nevada, Reno to study history. And finally, story number three, in amusement parks, as amusement parks begin to open or reopen, Japan has set some guidelines for their attendees. All attendees must wear masks, and they must refrain from screaming while on roller coasters.
All right. Ron's been sneaking some fastballs by me, so I'm starting to lose my confidence in these, and I'm not feeling comfortable with any of these three stories. I'm buying number three, so it comes down to number one or number two.
Right.
So do we have a Doogie Howser of history,
Yes.
or
Yay.
I'm going to go number one because I think Ron just changed the names. I think that would be easy. That would be something easy to do.
That's what I
That's
said
my
too.
guess.
Yes.
You guys were close.
It's Doogie Howser?
No, story number one is false.
Okay.
But I didn't change names. I just decided to say, let's see if they believe Carolyn Baskin. Maybe I shouldn't have gone Berlinzi. Maybe I should have went like Cincinnati Zoo or something like that. Something a little more.
All right, I'm back on the horse.
Yes, but
Back
story
in the
number
wing
two, a 13-year-old did just graduate from Fullerton College, a community college in the LA area, which he started attending at age 11 and graduated when he was 13. And is now on his way to Reno to study history. And Japan does not want you to scream on roller coasters. Sorry, kids.
Now, that is something in its own right that fascinates me, that you can no longer scream on a roller coaster.
Well, because
Well, I want to know more than anything else. How do you prevent that? I don't think the screamers on roller coasters. I don't think they do it purposefully.
No.
I think it's just a natural reaction.
I think the whole thing, the reason why he doesn't want you to scream is because your mouth is open and you're breathing out into people.
Well,
But
no,
if
I
you're wearing
get
a
that
mask-
part of it.
But if you're wearing a mask,
I get
does it
that
matter?
part.
Even if you're not wearing a mask, here's the thing.
It'll sound muffled.
Well, no, hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right. I know enough from doing this damn YouTube video with this doctor to speak somewhat intelligently on this. You're moving at an incredible clip. So in order for you to truly get the person in front of you would have to be more than an asymptomatic carrier, which is unlikely in its own right, where you're moving in that, and basically spit or saliva would have to go out in front of them and then fall back on you. And even then, there has to be some sort of connection. So you yelling or screaming, you spitting is a bigger issue than yelling or screaming. I don't understand.
But even that, I think you're delving too far. My whole point is, even if you acknowledge, okay, I understand the thought process behind it, even if you get to that point, how do you stop people who aren't doing something purposefully other than stop putting them on the ride? What are you going to do? Yell at them?
Well, no.
You know,
the
if
only thing
somebody's
that
gonna
works is
scream-
shock therapy.
Yeah,
you have to put some sort of buzzer on their butts, and every time somebody
Sure, this is maybe it's North Korea, maybe it's not Japan. Maybe they're going to take them to
But if you have a buzzer and
the
that
labor
shocks
camp.
you, wouldn't that make you scream too?
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I don't think it's a solvable problem. Is my
No,
point.
I think people are going to scream.
So, yeah, they're going to scream, and they're not going to do it on purpose. I don't think they're going up there and saying, you know what, I wasn't going to scream, but now that you prevented me from screaming, I'm going to scream. I don't think there's a lot of those people.
people are going to go
I
out of
could
their
be
way
wrong.
to scream. You never know.
Exactly.
Hey, John.
Certainly in Japan, they're not as combative as we are.
No, but I wouldn't. I'll leave it at that. All right, that's fine. So I'm curious: are the Philadelphia Eagles going to trade for not Yannick, but another Jag in Leonard Fournette?
Well, they want there's no question they want a veteran running back to join this team, and they've kicked the tires on Carlos Hyde. They offered him a contract, and he just got more money than they were willing to go. Kick the tires on Devontae Freeman, and from all indications, Devontae might sit out the season because he thinks he's worth more than what the market is probably going to bear. And then you start to get down to Shady McCoy and that type, and I think there's some redundancies from a trait standpoint with him and Miles Sanders, very similar players. I don't know if that's a fit. So from a skill set standpoint, Fournette would make some sense because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a big back that can run between the tackles, that can move the chains, sort of what they had with LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, that type, Jordan Howard last season. So from a fit, it makes a lot of sense. Doug Peterson obviously wants to use a committee approach. So those talking about Miles Sanders being MVP, that's a joke for a number of reasons. One, he's just not that good of a player. But secondly, he's not going to get the touches even if he was that good of a player because Doug wants to use a committee. So ultimately, what I'm saying is there is going to be a veteran running back here. It's just who is it going to be? And then it comes down to, hey, maybe look at Corey Clement, maybe look at Michael Warren, who's an undrafted free agent, and see if they can handle the workload. Elijah Holyfield would be in that category as well. And if they can't, guys are going to get cut as well. So I don't know if you have to make that trade. I don't know if they want to make that trade to get such a high-profile back because if Fournette's here, hey, who's the lead back at that point? And I think they believe in Miles Sanders, so I'm not sure they want that pressure on Miles Sanders.
All right, let's look at a bigger name that still is out, and that's Jadeveon Clowney. Reportedly turned down a pretty big offer from the Cleveland Browns. Are you shocked at that? And then the follow-up would be, are you still shocked that he's unsigned?
Yes and yes. I mean, at this stage, just from a calendar standpoint, there's not a lot of teams with a lot of room from a budgetary standpoint to pay what Jadeveon Clowney wants. So if you get that high-profile offer, I mean, and that's your goal. I mean, that's been the issue with Jadeveon from early in this process. He wanted a whole heck of a lot of money. So if your goal is to get the most money, you got to go take the most money. And so now I don't want to play in Cleveland look, there's a lot of reasons. We know the history of the Cleveland Browns. They're in yet another reboot phase with Kevin Stefanski, a new head coach again. New general manager again, Andrew Berry's back. So they change basically every couple of years. So I get why you wouldn't necessarily want to pick that organization as number one. So at that point, you got to make decisions and say, do I want the most money or do I want to go to a place I might enjoy more for a 1-year prove-it deal and maybe get back on the market next season? That's what it's really going to come down to for Jadeveon Clowney.
So is there anybody else, and I guess Cam Newton would come to mind, that is still a big name that you anticipate signing on a team before the season starts, not waiting for somebody to get hurt?
I would put Everson Griffin in that category as well. I mean, that's a really good pass rusher, but he's had some off-the-field issues from a mental health standpoint. There's always things involved. He's at 32, so at that point, we all know how people think in this league, and the assumption is that when the decline starts, it's going to happen pretty rapidly. But, man, if you look at that guy last season, he can still play. So that's one where I think in Arizona has been connected to him, Seattle a little bit, especially if they lose Clowney, and even Philadelphia. Every rumor in this league, I always joke, ends and the Eagles because of the way they do business. Somebody's going to get a real value with that guy.
John McMullen joining us at JF McMullen on Twitter. It looks as if, and I know things could change, but based on what we saw over Memorial Day weekend, and we touched a little bit about this on Tuesday, but now as we see the NHL coming back, plans for the NBA June 1st, and even baseball, which just is dragging their feet in typical MLB form, the scene is set for now. I'm more and more convinced, John, forget regular season games, but there will be fans in preseason games for the NFL. Maybe even full capacity at that point in August.
Yeah, it's pretty astonishing how quickly things are moving. I agree with you. There's going to be fans at games. I don't know if it's going to be full stadiums. I think that's the question, or whether it's going to be limited from that standpoint. I don't think the preseason matters that much, but we all know this league and money, and if there's an opportunity to make some, they'll try to seize it. I don't think I think that's a fair criticism to make. So from their standpoint, the sooner the better. But I think the goal is the regular season. I certainly think there's going to be fans in the stands. And look, we joked about that on Tuesday. I think it was Cuomo, New York, then it was Phil Murphy in New Jersey. And I said on Tuesday, I mean, Tom Wolfe is going to fall, and it took him 24 hours to fall.
And there it is, right? The money.
And yeah, I mean, that's how it is. And we're going to see how it works out. And, you know, you talked about your YouTube show, and you're probably more well-versed on this than 99% of radio hosts. But, hey, nobody knows. And you can see that from the CDC. Daily, on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis, the information changes. And that's the reality. Nobody knows. And everybody wants to say, I know, but they're generally not doctors.
John, final minute. The numbers came out of the 100 top-rated series of 2019-2020, adults 18 to 49. The shock isn't that Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football are the top three. The shock is that Thursday Night Football has now overtaken Monday Night Football.
Well, yeah. I mean, Monday Night Football was pretty poor last season. I think there's a number of reasons why. Number one, I think they want to get it back to ABC. I think that helps right off the bat. If they're able to do that, even though we talk about the diminishing returns versus the old school networks versus cable, it's not as important as it once was. It is still somewhat important, and more people can get to it. So I think that would help. But yeah, I mean, they made a real impactful push to make Thursday night more important than it has been. Everyone jokes about Jacksonville, Tennessee, what have you, and the annual matchup that no one's interested in. And they made a real attempt to get some decent games on there, and it became more high profile. And then you talk about the announcers as well, for whatever reason. Joe Tessitore, Booger McFarland, people did not like that product.
Great point, John. We appreciate it.
Which I think is unfair.
Yeah, I do as well. But I think it's also part of the reality of it as well.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll chat on Tuesday.
All right, thanks, guys.
You got it. At JF McMullen on Twitter.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perot.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Tim Brando.
Yeah, it's just weird the way it ended, but yeah, it worked out fine.
Saying without students on campus.
At John McMillan on Twitter, right to commercial.
His mouth and inserting foot. Mark Emmert has no jurisdiction really over college football, but there's a little thing called the 1984 Supreme Court lawsuit won by the universities of Georgia and Oklahoma that forced the NCAA out of the financial realm of college football. It's like the guy in the California system making this sweeping statement about nothing but online classes later in the year, and he's making the decision with data in May. These guys that just want to see their names in print making bold decisions that they don't have to make, they illustrate what happens with misuse of power. And the real leaders are doing the right things behind the scenes, and they'll make their splash when the time comes. And I'm telling you, I think that time will be sometime next month.
Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Into the night.
Seriously now.
Are we done with this yet?
Not yet. What do you mean, are we done? You called here. You want me to be like a regular talk show host and just hang up on you and run him? Should I run him, Eric?
Or rack him?
No, I'm not racking him.
They're not racking him.
Jim Rome only racks great calls. He has a take, but he sort of sucks at the same time. I think that's going to be my new thing. You know, you had a take or two, but for the most part, I got to run you.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Into the Night.
Seriously now.
Are we done with this yet?
Not yet. What do you mean, are we done? You called here. You want me to be like a regular talk show host and just hang up on you and run him? Should I run him, Eric?
Or rack him?
No, I'm not racking him.
They're not racking him.
Jim Rome only racks great calls. He has a take, but he sort of sucks at the same time. I think that's going to be my new thing. You know, you had a take or two, but for the most part, I got to run you.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. The Jake Asman Show.
Adam Schefter joining us. How big of an advantage do you have during the football season when you're playing in your fantasy league and you're getting the inside scoop on the injury report before anyone else has?
Not as big as you think. I remember one time a head coach, Tim Hasselbeck, was playing Matthew Berry. I needed Tim to beat Matthew to make the playoffs. And I had a coach tell me, hey, this wide receiver's going to have a big game today. And I called Tim. I'm like, hey, this guy's on the waiver wire. Go pick him up. And he's like, okay. I said, get him in your lineup today against Matthew. We need a win. And on one of the very first plays of the game, the team threw a long pass to the guy. Guy dropped the pass. Guy was benched, didn't play again. So I always say, the more you know, the less you know. And I found that to be true over and over and over again, where you hear, oh, boy, this guy's a big part of the game plan, or we're planning on featuring this guy. And sometimes it's right, but a lot of times it's not. So when you ask what kind of advantage I have, I say not as big as you think.
The Jake Asman Show. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's A-Time.
Getting closer to tonight, watching the UFC Fight Night lead up to it. Now, is this thing going to take over on prime time, or we're even going to be up to, now we're only on 9 Eastern anyway, but last time we led up to the prime time event, and everything was before that on regular TV. So watching along here, yep, we're going to get to that George Kittle demand coming up in the second hour. And also the NFL has released a statement regarding the murder of George Floyd. And as you can imagine, it's being met typically with the level of resentment and, oh, please, and any other way to characterize the typical response to anything NFL socially conscious, or at least the attempt to be socially conscious and related to that. We also have serious odds we need to discuss coming up. Gigantic odds in the second hour, because I am shocked when I saw this leading up to a season beginning, and it's a futures bet that you're going to have to pound, I promise you. Second hour coming up. 8's on Shannon.
Pharrell.
Coast to coast! People used to say, oh, that Pharrell guy, he's on late at night. He doesn't matter. Well, how do you like them apples? Now I'm on 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on SB Nation, and we're going to cut everybody down like trees everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's afternoon.
Hey, what you got for hour 2?
Weekends, Pharrell Coast to Coast, woo.
I know we'll have Drake on.
Yeah.
Pharrell, weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call.
Elon Musk is a brilliant guy. We'd all agree, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have we talked about what he named his kid?
No, I don't think we ever did.
How do you pronounce this? I mean,
I don't know. I can't wait till this kid's old enough and he goes, I'm changing my name to Michael. And they go, oh, yeah, what was your name before? I'm Elon Musk's kid.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Do we have to call him the artist formerly known as Elon Musk?
Yeah,
maybe?
exactly. You might know my dad as this super brilliant billionaire scientist. I know him as a lunatic that named me an unpronounceable name.
What I want to know is when they yell at him, what are they saying?
Yeah, right. If I'm his kid, I go, until you can properly pronounce this nonsense, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. How about that? So good luck, Mom and Dad.
You hear that?
I'm going to go smoke and drink.
Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
Oh, that's weird.
What was that?
Tony
It was
D
a
and Ron
sound.
Colbert. Weekday morning.
Yeah, unless it was a voice, I didn't hear it.
No.
Nope.
Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari are getting a divorce.
I know.
Cavallari's reasoning to divorce Jay Cutler,
Which is?
that he is lazy.
Oh, that's funny because Josh McDaniels thought the same thing when he got to Denver.
There it is. Is that a real reason? Because there's going to be a lot of single men out there.
That's right.
We can't let this. We can't allow this to set a precedent.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekday mornings into the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, no matter what they're paying him at TNT,
It's not
it
enough.
ain't enough. The great Charles Barkley. Chuck, you said it earlier. Shaq said it. They shouldn't bother to even finish this season. Do you still believe it? I know you said that they are going to play. Do you still believe that it's not worth playing?
Listen, I'm 100% sure they're going to play, just from what I'm hearing from my people, but I just don't know how it's going to be safe. I really don't. I would hate for something bad to happen, and I would hate to see one of the stars get hurt and they lose in the first round or second round of the playoffs.
You can,
to an inferior team. Let me tell you something. You can have 100 players on a team in the NBA. If you lose
Zooming
LeBron,
into
James
games
Harden,
and
Russell
Deshaun
Westbrook,
Jackson's
it don't matter
idea.
about those other 99.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Scares me. If Giannis gets sick and has to miss the first round of the playoffs, the Milwaukee Bucks are not going to win. They're out. That wouldn't be fair at all.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Zooming into games, is that a question or?
No.
Okay.
Just a statement.
Cool.
And the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart, weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. No games, no problem. The countdown is on. Sports will be back. There are games being played right now in China. We've got German soccer. If there's a line for it, we're going to break it down right here. Weekdays, 6 o'clock, SB Nation Radio. Be here.
Game time decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. The second level.
The first, and I can't get it out of my head, Tony's Fauci is awful. I think I've heard Tony do other impressions. I've heard him do voices, if you will. And they're all great. They're all on the level. But I don't know. There's something about that Fauci that's really off. This is the dueling Faucis here.
That the idea of having treatments available to facilitate the reentry of students into the fall term would be something that would be a bit of a bridge too far.
Or
we may never be able to shake hands ever again. It's more like if you have two people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves.
Tony's Fauci sounds like what the real Fauci would sound like if he were yelling. The real Fauci sounds like he's been yelling at the president for the last 8 hours.
The second level. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blog on the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blog on the Boys podcast feed today. Hey everybody, RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blog on the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner, two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blog on the Boys podcast feed today.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. This is SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shed.
Live action. That's right. UFC Fight Night going on as we speak, leading up to the main event. There's also in the works, of course, as we know, the return of the PGA just a couple of weeks away. The NBA, it looks like, has a target date. This came out somewhat yesterday, last night. NBA is looking to tip off July 31st. And I know that as Silver's going to make it official June 1st about bringing players back and recalling everybody that's out there, expect the season to just kick off or tip off in this case without a hitch, much like the NHL. And now we look at college sports and we look at the calendar that is expected to be one hell of a month in August, maybe September, depending on how long these things last. Two things regarding fan interaction that we'll get to coming up in 5 minutes. One is a fantastic idea by Philadelphia Eagles' own Deshaun Jackson. The other is something that already happened. And I don't know if you've heard of the concept zooming into a game, but it's here. It's here to the point in which I don't even think this needs to go away once the whole pandemic thing goes away. And it's going to be brought up at some point, so I might as well bring it up now. As much as the protests and as much as the demonstrations and as much as riots, and all three we've seen examples of throughout the country, in my opinion, are needed to an extent. You don't need people that have no connection to these movements infiltrating and co-opting, which has been happening now for hundreds of years, which is why we continue to be in these same situations every 5, 10, 15 years. We're 6 years away from Ferguson. Eric Gardner, we saw die on camera. So Philando Castile in Minneapolis. So this is, again, a needed concept, and it's something that is definitely bubbling over. But it will be interesting to see from a medical standpoint, because a virus doesn't care about a social movement as much as it's needed. A virus doesn't care about the oppressors as much as they need to be changed and removed or just alter their vision. Virus doesn't care about any of that. So I'm curious to see the numbers.
Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you.
Hey, I'm setting up John for a recorded interview real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Are near historic lows. So now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Frank's right. Just text MAINE to 321321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenics, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenic samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text MAINE to 321321. That's MAIN to 321321.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand, call Consolidated Credit now. If you're making the minimum payments, but your balance is just not going down, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it will take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 5 million people. They can consolidate your debts into one lower payment, reduce your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. If you're struggling with credit card debt, call Consolidated Credit now.
Call now, 800-549-1277. That's 800-549-1277. 800-549-1277.
Consolidated Credit Counseling Services Incorporated, 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33313. Not a loan company licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Maryland DM 19, Oregon DM 80031. Licensed by Virginia State Corporation. Commission license number DC 32. Establishment of a plan may adversely affect the individual's credit rating or credit scores. Non-payment of debt may be creditors to increase financial charges or collections activity, including litigation.
My name is Megan Eddings, founder and CEO of.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Research shows that wearing a face mask drastically reduces the spread of the coronavirus. Excel Lifestyle's Prima antibacterial face masks are soft, washable, and double layer for added protection. To purchase you and your loved one's face mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCEL lifestyle.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your masks out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
This is SB Nation Radio,
and SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's
Mike's hot.
Couple of things regarding fan interaction. Now, we know that Melvin Gordon, for example, is more than okay with no fans in the stadium because, if anything, it might give them an advantage. I mean, think about it. If you're Melvin Gordon and the Chargers, you actually have an advantage because now you look at certain games like 8 home games and you thought, well, this is like playing on the road, except that you've got your home facilities and your home field, but there's no real home field advantage. So the difference now is, at least with a silent stadium, you don't need to worry about fans booing you. You don't need to worry about fans cheering when you're on offense, and doesn't matter who the quarterback is now, trying to hush a bunch of fans, and they're all rooting for the other team. So, of course, they're going to get louder and louder. And even looking around thinking, man, we can't even fill a soccer stadium, let alone a football arena. We can't even do that. So looking at what's already happened to an idea that should happen, zooming to a game, we brought this up a little bit over the, I'd say, Thursday show on the Second Level. Thousands of fans, maybe it was Friday, because this is May 28th, and what's today now? The 30th, 9th? Yeah, so it had to have been Friday. Thousands of fans logged into Zoom to watch a Danish soccer game. And if you haven't seen this, it's awesome. It's the coolest thing that's happened with the return of sports, where fans can be a part of this thing, knowing that they can't physically be in the stadium. Although I'll say this, as I brought this up based off of Memorial Day weekend, where the country went through a 3-day bleep you medicine, bleep you science, bleep you Fauci and everybody else. I'm going out. I don't care where it was. It was everybody across the country. I'm going out. And I wrote on phillyvoice.com, my weekly column where you can read, and we talk about a lot of the things on the air that I write about. And one of them was just a lock. It would take significant setbacks around the country for fans to not be at NFL games. Significant, based on just where everybody was, all of the video you saw from the boardwalk to the nightclub, and it didn't matter where it was around the country. Well, now you have, and yes, a lot of the people in videos here are at least wearing masks, which helps, although a bandana and so many other things don't count as a mask. If anything, it just protects your face, and that's a whole different conversation about who's out there wrecking stuff, needing their faces protected. But now, after what we've seen, which has been countrywide eruption of frustration bubbling over into protest and riot based off of the death of George Floyd, then you've got now 2 straight weekends where the people in this country have been out and about, interacting, not socially distancing, anything like that. And I'm not condemning, like I wasn't condemning the Memorial Day weekend. I'm not going to pick and choose the variable. It's all the same end. Different means, much different means, going out and vacationing on a boardwalk versus going out and protesting the death of George Floyd is much different as far as the means are concerned, but we're at the same end. And that's where the pandemic and the virus take over, where you're just getting to the same end. Virus doesn't care why you're out. The virus doesn't care what you're doing. You're walking your dog in the sea of people, or you could be protesting a police murder. It could be anything. But the bottom line for the virus is, where are we right now? And if, in fact, we don't have any type of setbacks, especially after this, especially after we've now seen days spilling into the weekend. It's Saturday. This isn't going to go away. People aren't technically going back to work on Monday like we saw with Eric Gardner, like we saw with Philando Castile, where things were just quieted down to the weekend. And then by then, it was just a flame ready to extinguish. Hence, we're back here again. But even when I bring all of this up, because fans are going to be in the games. They're going to be in NFL games without a doubt. You've had Memorial Day weekend and now this weekend of protests and riots. It's not going to change. And all of a sudden, we're going to put this tube, all of the toothpaste back into it. It's not going to work that way. We are out. We are out and about right now. I can't tell you the pandemic's over. I can't tell you the virus isn't contagious, any of that. But I can tell you this, June 8th is the expected reopening of the biggest hotbed, hotspot central in this country, without a doubt, in New York City, to the point in which the spillover was so humongous and gigantic when you looked at the large scale of infections in New York City that North Jersey, half of a state, was all result of spillover in New York City. And North Jersey became one of the hottest hotbeds, hot central spots in this country as well. Fans will be back. Until then, it can be done tonight. And if I was Dana White, I would have done this. I don't know how soon or quick you could do it in the span of a day, but you had tons of people zooming in. Think about it. You've got these gigantic screens at this Danish soccer stadium, and people have dialed in, I'm sure, and they had to pay, which is fine. They double the price of a ticket face value to zoom into a game. These screens are placed in front. And John, remind me, we have to talk about Uncut Gems coming up next segment, because I completely blew over that after we had breaking news and we were able to break ground on a show or movie that you've actually watched that we could talk about.
I'll remind you.
Next segment, we'll do that, I promise. But the screens are up there, and just in the shot from the AP article, you can see 3 separate screens facing the field. And these things are right up on the walls in front of the stands, because the stands are empty. And on the left, you've got one of these gigantic Zoom calls that looks like it has 50 people watching. And yes, everybody is sitting there watching. If you're watching me on the stream right now, it would be like you at home watching me, except I could see you on a Zoom call. And you could yell and scream and point and laugh at me and do whatever you want. In this case, you're jumping up and down screaming that your team just scored a goal. And then they have what looks to be either specific people that were highlighted or just a VIP setting where your window is blown up the size of the screen. So the screen on the left has maybe 50 different people, but in smaller boxes. And then you have these gigantic screens where I can see the 4 or 5 people watching this game pretty clear, because it's such a gigantic picture. And the best part about it, it's interactive. The best part, it's genius. This thing can't go away. There needs to be a Zoom. There needs to be an area in every single game, every single football, basketball, I don't care. Make a Zoom area, even if it's up top. Like the scoreboards and all that, they are not intrusive. It doesn't need to take the center stage like it is now. The only reason why it's doing that is because you don't have any physical bodies in the seats. But you look at this idea, and you can pay extra to be a VIP, and all of the players now can see and hear you, and you can see and hear them. It's totally interactive. You're paying for the same type of experience. And yes, you can argue, well, being at a game is interactive. In this case, it's a little more intimate. As crazy as that sounds, and this is why I love the idea. Now, when you have live fans at the stadium, it may lose a little bit of its intimacy, but I do not think it loses any of its value, because players are still going to appeal to the Zoom call like they will to live fans. But in this case, that's all you have, people on the Zoom call. And what I love about it is if you score a goal, you can run right up to that screen. And maybe instead of going to the one with the 50 people jumping up and down and go crazy, you go to the big one. How big are these things? 30 by 30, 40 by 30? You go to the big one, and it's 5 people sitting on their couch, just yelling and screaming. Cameras shaking because it's their webcam on somebody's laptop. One of them is pointing in the camera. Yes, yes, yes. Players going back on it. I mean, they have essentially replaced the live fan and all of the bad ideas that we got. Joe Buck floating that CGI crap out there. think about the difference. Think about how cheated you would be if, in fact, you were watching a game and you saw the CGI. CGI fans, they're not there. Same thing with the fake crowd noise. I was watching the Bundesliga, and they pumped the fake crowd noise in there. It's really difficult because people aren't there. You know that the stands are empty. And that's why it's constantly reminding you it's something that doesn't add up. It just doesn't compute in your brain. Fans aren't there. I'm hearing a ton of noise. In this case, fans are there. You don't need to push anything. You don't need to move this around. You don't need to add any fake crowd noise. You can zoom a ton of people in there. And now you don't even need 50, 60,000 people to make it that loud. You can enhance and amplify 5,000 people on a Zoom call. Can you imagine that? You're looking around and what's that on the other side of the pitch? Oh, that's another big screen with 500 more people on a Zoom call. I'd pay face value for a ticket. If it were an Eagles game, I'd probably pay double and not even flinch. $75 face value. They want $180. Oh, okay, I'm in. This thing is insane, and I just want to be a part of it.
I think I would want to be a part of that too.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
right? Sure. Let's think about that real quick. We got a minute or two before we need to break, John. What's the anti here that you have to clean up? But all right, so I don't want any crap beans. I don't want people seeing my nasty pigsty of a basement. All right. Is that the biggest hurdle or obstacle you have to clear in order for this thing to work? I can't see a negative is my point.
Yeah, I can't see one either.
Maybe price.
I was about to say that, except for price. Like if they're not having the fans in the stands, they're going to have to make it expensive if they do it this way. So maybe the average person can't do it.
You think so?
It depends on how expensive it is. Or maybe they do some kind of...
Well, here's the thing. Season ticket holders.
Exactly.
Right? I think if you're a season ticket holder, you should get first crack at it. But I do think that despite a lot of people now embracing the Zoom call and the teleconference and just this life that we've led, I don't even know if we're still leading it, but I think that you still have people that would be resistant. I'm not doing that crap. I'll wait until I can get to a game. Now, for the NFL, you don't have to. But think of this. End of July, start of August, I'd still bet money. We'll do this too coming up at some point this night. The odds that we'll have fans in the stands for each of the four sports, big four, that come back. And when we'll look at that calendar as well. At Shander Show for me, twitch.tv/Shander Show. I'm Eitan Shander.
Into the night.
Dang, I just thought of a negative.
All right.
Right as you were going to break.
No, good.
Bill Parcells.
All right, cool.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
How can that not be a 30 for 30, Bill?
Well, one, it's a new world or an old world back then, so there's not video much of anything, and especially our interactions during practice. So his favorite, I always say this, played under Bill Parcells for 8 years. Of course, we had great success. And when he retired, I had to come home and check my birth certificate to see if my first name began with a P or an F. Because for 8 years, I was F and Sims. F and Sims. It never ended.
Well, you can spell Phil with an F, depending.
Well, I guess you can. Yeah. One of my teammates once said, you should just write FS. It's like Lawrence Taylor does LT. And I go, what? Excuse me, what'd you say? He goes, FS. I said, I thought I heard you say that.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell.
The Cowboys want to make Dak the second highest paid quarterback in the league. Dak wants to make the most money. Essentially, every guy in the league that's a quarterback's making somewhere between 25 and 35 million. Aren't they all making fat money? And aren't they all the eventual demise? These contracts with quarterbacks, the demise of football teams. When you have to pay one guy that much money, it breaks up the team.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wake up call. Hammerhead bet. Never heard that.
Hammerhead bet. This is pure nightmare fuel.
All right. What is that? Why is this the first time I've ever heard of it?
That's a small dog with wings attached to it.
We should have known about this the second this was discovered. Mosquitoes can't possibly feed this thing. What is
Not
it?
at all. No, I don't know what it eats.
If it doesn't eat humans, what exactly does
Yeah,
it
it
eat?
eats anything it wants to eat.
Right. No kidding. My God, that looks like Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I'm sorry to do this when you're battling insomnia because I know you're not sleeping now. Yeah, no, this thing is out there.
I totally.
My bad.
Oh my God.
Should have saved it for after you came back and said, you know what? I got a good night's sleep,
yeah.
Ron.
No,
I got a story for you then.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com. This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan.
Mike's hot.
All right, let's look at this here. I did not watch at all this movie because it just didn't jump out at me. But now it's on Netflix and everybody is going crazy right now over Uncut Gems. And I don't know, you ever see somebody, and this usually works with like somebody who's older, and I'm 42, so I'm older. But you see somebody and you think, wow, there's just no way that person had any athletic ability. There's just no way. I found out there's a local radio, TV comedian personality here in Philadelphia, Joe Conklin. And I played golf with a mutual friend today with him and found out that Conklin's a really good basketball player back in the day. Now, Joe's older than me, so you look at somebody, you think, and I even said, I was like, come on, there's no way that I just can't picture him. And I don't know what it is about Adam Sandler, but I just cannot picture him signing up for like a DraftKings account, sitting. He just doesn't look like a guy who, even though he's from, and he's supposed to be this everyman from Long Island, and all right, enough is enough. But there's just something about him that isn't believable as a gambler, as like this big time gambler. But I didn't see the movie, so I can't speak. John, you did see the movie, and it sounded like you enjoyed it.
Yes, I did. His performance makes you believe that
Really?
he is that person. Yes, yeah. And I didn't think it would be a great performance either because I've always seen the funny Adam Sandler, and this is far from it. And he did a fantastic job in this role.
So what is something you could, I can't imagine, is there any spoiler? Like, I don't want you to spoil it.
It's kind of tough to talk about it without spoiling.
Really?
I'll say this. It's not like a DraftKings account. He is a big time gambler.
No. I know. Like he's, and that's another part of it too, which is, I didn't mean to misrepresent him in the movie, but I couldn't even picture him signing up for a DraftKings account, let alone him, placing $1.5 million. See, here's another thing. I know that with Kevin Garnett in the movie, ESPN, ESPN, their Twitter account, every now and again will put out like this day in history. And it's always like, Rocky Balboa knocked out Ivan Drago or something like that. So I saw that where you look around and think, man, is this really going to happen? And maybe you're watching it not knowing the ending. But I also know, based off an ESPN tweet, and I don't know what this has to do with anything as far as any type of plot reveal, that he did win big on a Celtics game with Garnett.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where is that? Is that like in the beginning, the middle, or the end of the movie?
It's towards the end of the movie.
Okay.
It plays into the twist that happens at the very end.
Is this like an M. Night Shyamalan level twist? What type of twist are we talking about here?
It's a pretty big twist. It's that level, yeah. Right at the very end, Let's just say the movie looks like it's going in one direction, and then out of nowhere it goes the other direction and ends. It's a huge twist.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it for you, I promise. But with you enjoying gambling, I firmly believe you will love this movie.
Really? Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's the Adam Sandler thing. You really think that it appeals to the diehard gambler, like the diehard? Why do you? Okay, let me ask you this: why do you think it got so many mixed reviews?
I don't know why it would get so many mixed reviews.
It got really mixed reviews. On top of that, it wasn't a couple of extreme reviews and then a lot of people in the middle like, yeah, it was a good movie, but it was pretty much like you're saying, this movie is great. You're a sports bettor out there. You're involved in the sports gambling world, whatever capacity, you'll enjoy it. Or, man, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. So I feel like, and maybe I guess we could argue that everything is like that now in our society.
Yes, it is.
To be fair, okay.
To be fair, too, I personally haven't heard anybody or talked to anybody that said don't watch it.
Is that right? Okay, maybe it's just me.
Maybe it's online reviews. I personally, everybody I've talked to has enjoyed it that's seen it.
Okay. My goodness.
Give it a try, man.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like I'd have to sacrifice a show or two. What is it, a 2-hour movie?
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll watch it. Now, we're back tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Okay. If I watch it tonight, we'll talk about it tomorrow then. I feel like I have to. I'm not going to watch Tiger King. So I'm not going to turn around and all of a sudden break down Tiger King 2 or 3 months late, whenever it was. But I think I have some time either tonight or tomorrow morning to write it. I'm looking at Drake Riggs' Twitter account, who's going to join us in 6 minutes. MMA writer. He's all over the place, 6 or 7 different outlets, and he's going to join us coming up next to talk about Fight Night. It's still happening live leading up to the main event. I don't know. Normally, I'm pretty tough on myself like this. Normally, if I have some sort of initial feeling, and I've been wrong before because it'll take me a little bit to circle back, but I trust your opinion. And I don't know why I trust your opinion, because you don't watch TV.
I was going to say that.
But maybe there is some truth to that. You haven't been poisoned like the rest of us with all this crap television, that when you go out and you actually choose something, when you put some time into it, that it's going to be worth your while.
Right. Yeah. I actually took the time out to go to theaters, which I never do, to see this movie.
Oh, you saw it in the theater?
Yeah, I did.
Now, what's the last movie? Are you a theater goer, or was this, wow, I'm really going out of my routine here to go see a movie in the theater?
Yeah, I was going out of my routine to see a movie in the theater. Yeah. I was really I was really excited to see it, and it lived up to the expectations for me.
Is that right? Okay. Now I'm getting text. Jed Marshall at Jedro24. The program on Sports Radio 810 is texting me. Now I have to watch Tiger King. There's no way, man. Sorry. I can't bring myself. I don't know why. And I'm not judging. I'm not judging anybody out there. I promise you. You can watch whatever the hell you want. But I can't I just can't bring myself to watch Tiger King. John, you didn't watch Tiger King.
I seen the first episode and turned it off.
And that was enough. Okay, see,
that was
now
enough for me.
Now
Yeah.
I do feel better about watching this movie tonight. Maybe you're an untapped. We have uncut gems on Netflix. Maybe you're an untapped gem when it comes to TV. Here I am talking to Culver. He's watching bad TV every day. And you, on the other hand, have absolved yourself from watching a bunch of television. So now you could be 2 for 2. I love the fact that you turned off Tiger King.
Yeah, it just didn't grab my attention whatsoever.
Unbelievable. All right, live action. Don't say you're waiting for sports to return. They're back, going on right now as we speak. Drake Riggs is going to join us coming up and look at what's already happened, what will happen, some betting angles as well. It's all here at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show. I'm Eitan Shander.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com.
You know what happens when you get talking about movies and TV shows.
No, but I should have done that the first segment, but then I went too long.
mortgage-
I wanted to keep the second segment with us.
APR.
Lighter.
Yeah.
Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Did you know online alcohol sales have more than tripled since March? Yep, drinking from home is at an all-time high. And Cheers is here to help fight those pesky hangovers. Whether you drink a little or a lot, Cheers is designed to reduce alcohol's negative effects and help you feel better the next day. It works by neutralizing the toxins that affect your liver and replacing the vitamins you lose when you drink alcohol. No more waking up with headaches or nausea after a night of drinking. It's the best thing to happen to alcohol since alcohol. To use Cheers, just take 2 to 4 capsules after your last drink or before bed. If you don't feel at least 50% better the next day, you'll get your money back. No questions asked. To order Cheers, simply visit cheershealth.com/radio and use promo code radio10 at checkout. You'll get $10 off your next order and at least 50% off your next hangover. That's cheershealth.com/radio. Promo code radio10. Say cheers to brighter mornings. Your liver will thank you.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers fly every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician in the United States makes over $62,000 a year.
The job opportunity is there. The money is there.
If you want to work with your hands.
All right, Drake is on for you.
Call 800-876-0097.
I'm very impressed with the AIM curriculum. The school's keeping pace with the demands of.
You know, I'm actually honestly surprised you even asked me if I seen Uncut Gems.
You know, for some reason I thought that we brought
train
that up
tomorrow's
before.
technicians.
800
I don't know.
097 800-876.
I just figured you would have assumed I didn't see it.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's
Mike's hot.
Live sports. We've got it. Stop complaining about baseball and whether or not they're going to come back and all the other. They don't care about you. Dana White cares about you. Fight night underway as we've been paying attention to it with an eye on it as we've been doing the show. But as promised, we'll go out to the Progressive Guest Line and bring in an expert here, and that's Drake Riggs. All over the place, my man, covering the world of MMA. I don't even know how you fit all of these into your bio. My MMA news, the scrap news, RT Sports News, At What Culture, Fan-Sided MMA, the Body Lock MMA, and Loudmouth MMA, all ats there. Drake, Eitan Shander, appreciate the time tonight. How are you, first and foremost?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, that's about the limit, so maybe I'll have to chill out for a little bit on adding things.
Look, man, you've got it all up there. You're working. That's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. You might as well show the world, right? Nothing wrong with a little humble brag there. Hey, so far tonight, before we get into some things still to come, was there any major shock so far in the event, that fight night, that you weren't expecting, at least coming in?
I mean, so far, just these 3 fights, major shock. I don't know about major, but I was definitely surprised to see Brandon Royval, who literally just got the win here over Tim Elliott. You know, Tim, former title challenger, took on Demetrius Johnson. He's had 2 stints in the UFC, just a really seasoned guy, and then Royval coming in making his debut, I think on short notice as well, but just got the arm triangle in a very scrambly, crazy fight. Very big win to start off your UFC career. That I think has been the biggest surprise so far. I mean, Chris Gutierrez looked phenomenal in the opening fight against Vince Morales. I don't know if that's much of a shock either, but maybe more so just how good he looked like. I predicted him to win, but I didn't think he looked that good. So those would probably be the ones for me so far.
All right, so outside of Woodley Burns, we'll get to that. Of course, the main event's going to get a lot of attention tonight. Is there a fight specifically on this card that you've been looking forward to ever since it came out?
Well, it's really interesting, this card. There's some interesting fights, I'll put it that way.
There are a couple of really heavy favorites, man.
Yeah, definitely. I look at the women's fights, though, with, Mackenzie Dern is coming back here for her second fight after, having her child, taking on Hannah Cyphers. And, a lot of the talk around her return fight against Amanda Hebus in her last fight, which she lost, it was about, did she come back too soon after, pregnancy and all that kind of thing. But I don't know if that's a fair thing to say because Hebus, she's legit now climbing up the ladder herself. She's just a really good fighter. It's hard to tell off of that performance. So I think this one will be a lot better of an indicator. And Cyphers, she's no joke either, but Hebus is kind of a higher level at the moment. I think that's fair to say. So this would have been a better fight to make for Dern's last fight, I think. But so it works out here. It'll be interesting to see how that goes at strawweight. And then at the flyweight fight, which is coming up in 2 fights, Caitlin Chookagian, just fought Valentina Shevchenko, and now she's taking on her sister in a very odd matchmaking. The fight doesn't really make sense from a matchmaker's perspective or, rankings wise, but obviously there's story there considering she just took on her sister in the title fight and lost. A very interesting matchup regardless of where the fighters stand in the division and all that, but it's just, that's an interesting one because of it being made in the first place. So I think that those are probably the 2 ones I'm looking at most, which have some kind of more meat on them,
Are you shocked at how high Dern's odds are? I have her at minus 460 for this fight.
Yeah, that seems pretty high. I mean, obviously still favor her because she's still a legit prospect and all that, but yeah, that seems rather disrespectful to Cyphers, who's been looking, pretty good in her own right too lately and been more active, obviously. It's a very interesting stylistic matchup. And the thing about Cyphers, though, I guess in this one particularly, is she could probably fight at atomweight, right? 105 pounds, which is not a division in the UFC. But if it was, I'm sure she could fight there and be, probably better off. Not to say she's bad at strawweight, but then Dern, she's had weight problems in the past, seems to have got those under control now, but has fought at flyweight, and she's the bigger girl as well. So, yeah, it's right to favor Dern, but yeah, that seems a little bit steep, a little bit disrespectful to Cyphers, but we'll see, right?
Yeah, because I was shocked when I looked at the number after, and I was basically looking at the number while you were laying out the fight. So I'm listening to you make a really compelling argument about how closer that fight would be as opposed to the line itself at minus 460. But these things are very tricky in their own right, and it's heavy odds there. I wanted to ask you, there are 2 other fights that have heavy odds. They're not as high as 460, but they're in the 300s, and that's the Roberts-Weaver fight and the Daniel Rodriguez and Gabriel Green fight that you mentioned earlier with Rodriguez. I'm curious, Rodriguez is minus 330. Roberts is minus 360. Which fighter has a better chance of being upset?
That's a tough one. I might say Rodriguez, but that is really close to say who is more likely to be upset. Just because if you look at Roberts' matchup against Brock Weaver is just kind of, one of those crazy kind of guys. I don't think he has too many knockouts or anything, and Roberts is very, pretty polished with his technical striking and all that. So I think he's more likely to be fine. Green, he's coming in for his debut here. Has some good momentum going. A very well-rounded fighter as well, but that's tough. I don't expect either of them to lose, but I would probably, I'm going to go for more likely to be upset is Rodriguez.
Okay. but both you're confident in. And I'm building
Yeah.
to something, I promise, but you're confident in both. And especially when you look at those odds, it's pretty indicative, I would think, of the edge that both Roberts and Rodriguez would have over the respective fighters. Is there anything that you would look at in that Rodriguez Green fight that would be concerning for Rodriguez? We could start there, I guess.
Well, if you look at his last fight, which I believe that was his UFC debut, when he took on Tim Means, kind of a similar situation to the Roy Val and Elliott fight we just got. Not identical, because Tim Means never been tip top like elite welterweight or anything like that. But Rodriguez came in to that fight, and Tim Means was doing what he does, beating him up in the first round, and then he rallied really strong early into the second round, just kind of flipped the switch and took out a very hard to finish veteran in Tim Means. So if he normally is going to start slow like that, that could be a problem against somebody like Green. So that would be the thing, is just how quickly he gets going in this fight.
Drake Riggs joining me at Drake Riggs _ on Twitter. Anything else that before we hit Woodley Burns, is there anything else tonight that is pertinent to get out for anybody who's going to be watching or betting on this card tonight, Drake?
You don't want to miss Spike Carlisle in the fight before the co-main event, because this guy he's something else. Let's just put it that way. Nickname the Alpha Ginger. He's a mood. This guy he's all one mood. All right. You don't want to miss that fight.
Well, he's at plus 106 against Quarantillo, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
So at plus 106, he comes in as a little bit, not by much, but a little bit of a dog. Is that surprising to you?
No, not necessarily. I mean, that's pretty close because, Quarantillo, I think he's fought better competition so far. So the edge could be going into that, the resume he's built up so far. But Carlisle, he's got something about him. We've seen his talent show through, in the fights that he's had so far. But resume wise, you lean towards Quarantillo a little bit. So I would imagine that's where that's coming from. But that's a really exciting matchup. That's the one I would look at, aside from the main event, of course.
Sure. But again, I just wanted to make sure, because if we move over and pass something, it's going to be on me to not ask you. So let's look at this. Woodley Burns, it's moved a little bit. I see Woodley now at minus 172, Burns at plus 146. Numbers aside, who's winning this fight tonight, Drake?
I've gone back and forth on it as it gets closer, right? But I am picking Gilbert Burns. He has all the momentum. He's got all the skill, knockout power. He's showing more and more in every fight. And then he's just an absolute savage on the ground. BJJ black belt, I believe multiple degrees. Either way, he can submit you, in any way that you can think of. But then there's Tyron Woodley, who, the returning former champion. It's been quite a while since that Usman loss, and a very bad loss that was. The thing about this fight, and it's kind of the thing with every Woodley fight, right, is he's just too hesitant for most of the time. He's always looking for kind of the big bomb to land, and that obviously hurt him against someone who just applies pressure like it's going out of style against Kamaru Usman. I think that Gilbert, training at ATT as well and down there, it's going to be a help to him, and he just kind of puts the pressure on, as is with his fighting style. But you just have to look out for that bomb. That's the thing. If he can avoid it, he should be okay. But that's easier said than done. He should mix in his grappling. Obviously Tyron Woodley, a fantastic wrestler. I really want this fight to go to the ground, because I want to see Woodley's wrestling against Burns' BJJ, because that's the most exciting part of this fight for me. But I don't know. I think Burns, I just have a feeling he'll be able to avoid that big bomb for the most part, and be able to put it on Tyron. I don't know if he can finish him, but I've got a feeling he's riding a very tall wave right now.
Well, that would be interesting, because based on what you laid out as far as the power versus just being able to withstand or avoid it, if you flip it, there's significant value for Burns to win by KO TKO, which I guess based on what you said doesn't sound too likely, but it sits at plus 600. Now, plus 500 is point/submission, but you think that if Burns wins, and I'm asking, if Burns wins, how likely is it that it's going the distance versus any early exit?
I don't know. That's hard to say. I do think that a knockout is more likely than a submission. As much as I do want this fight to go to the ground, I just don't see it happening.
Okay.
I don't think Woodley will take it to the ground. You know, think of the Maia fight, for example, right? He avoided that at all costs, which was really, really smart to do. Obviously, Damian Maia is, you know, arguably the greatest submission grappler of all time, especially in MMA. I think he'll do the same, stay away from that with Burns. So, yeah, and I can see Burns knocking him out. It's just how likely, I don't know, it depends on how aggressive he wants to be, which is then where the danger increases for him. So, yeah, I think that we're more likely to get a decision, but it's not crazy to think that Burns can knock him out. We've seen Woodley knocked out before. I mean, we've seen both guys knocked out, but I don't know. I don't know about this one.
All right, let's look at this. Last one for you, Drake, and you can be as brutally honest as you'd like here. I'm working the 4-fight parlay tonight. So I went heavy favorites, and in order to get some good odds on the return, I had to throw a closer fight in there. So I took the heavy favorites we talked about, Rodriguez, Dern, and Roberts, all three of them to win their fights outright. And the fourth fight is the main event. So I took Woodley, just going favorite. Do you like that? Now, again, I think the hitch here is going to have to be Woodley beats Burns. Do you like that overall? Because I think that's probably what it's going to come down to based on you saying how unlikely it would be for the other three fights to end in upset.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good group to parlay right there. I mean, with this main event, it's really close and really interesting. It just comes down to, you know, certain little factors, I think. And I could very well be wrong, but just going off the history of these guys, if Woodley hasn't changed his approach to where he's, you know, generally looking to counter, then I feel pretty comfortable with, you know, Burns walking away with it. But of course, you know, that Willie bomb is still always there. It depends on how he wants to approach it, I think. If he wants to be more aggressive. But yeah, no, it's totally likely that he could win this and, you know, prove all the doubters wrong, because he's always had a lot throughout his career. So yeah, I think that's definitely a very good parlay right there.
Awesome stuff, Drake. Appreciate it tonight. Enjoy the fights.
You too, man. Thank you.
You got it. Drake Riggs at Drake Riggs _ joining us, and we'll wrap the hour next. Interesting topic brought up on Twitter. Also, we have to get to the Deshaun Jackson idea. We'll probably have to push that to the top of the third hour. All here. I'm Eitan Shanner.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault.
Joe Theismann here on Pushing the Odds. How has quarantine life been for you?
Probably the most important word that we can all consider is patience with everybody. I know everybody's sort of going stir crazy. I mean, let's face it. This is something we're not used to as a society. We move quite rapidly, but now we're forced to sort of reevaluate the important things in life, and I think it's good in that regard. Matt, I've said this for a long time. If you have your health, you have wealth. Wealth has nothing to do with what your bank account looks like. If you have your health, then you are a very wealthy person. Now it's important that we understand that you want to be able to keep social distancing so that everybody can stay healthy. And the more we can practice that, every day that we can practice that, every day we can buy a day for the scientists to be able to come up with a cure or a vaccine, it's a day closer to having this craziness end. And life will never be the same.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Pharrell.
I like hearing the Bundesliga players chirping and the coaches yelling, even though I can't understand a word they're saying in German. I took 1 year of German in high school, and it didn't work out so well for me, the whole German thing. I didn't do well with their language. But I can say, Guten Tag, bitte schön, auf Wiedersehen.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. Into the night.
The great Pat McAfee, an award-winning sports reporter, former punter, joins us now. Pat, I read that you said that you have no shot of being part of the Monday Night Crew. Is that official, or is that just your gut feeling?
A year ago, my boys and I and the people that follow me on the internet are the greatest humans on earth. We pushed for the Monday Night Football rule. We know there was no chance that I would get considered for it, but we made a little bit of noise. And whenever the job seemed to be opened up yet again here, obviously the natural thing was, okay, we made a push for it last year. Let's go for it again. And every time I would ask a question to, my people, I was basically told, that's going to be a long shot because ESPN, they want a prestigious booth again. And whenever you're a punter, that's not necessarily the position you're always in, a prestigious one, shall we say. So I think I've been told on a couple different occasions that I'm probably not the guy that's going to get that gig. And do I think I'd be good at it? Yeah, I think I would be. But now is not the right time. And there is zero chance in hell that I get offered the gig anyways.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Game Time Decisions.
I'm Gabriel Morency, inviting you to join me and the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart, weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio, the loudest station in the nation. No games, no problem. We've got your back. Weekdays at 6, we throw it down. Best bets, props. If they're playing, we'll find a number on it. Bring it. Weekdays at 6, SB Nation Radio, Game Time Decisions.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's a...
So we're going to get into this idea that Deshaun Jackson put out. And I love it. And it's not just because he's an Eagle, for now at least. It's not because of any of that. It's because this is the first time that I've heard a player bring it up. So that is worth it. Now, did you bet on anything tonight, John? Did you take any fight tonight?
No, but I plan on taking Woodley in the main event tonight.
You do? Okay.
I do. I got to get signed into my app here.
Now, I am shocked after that conversation with Drake Riggs, who is fully informed on the sport and beyond, that Mackenzie Dern's odds are so high. And now I'm concerned because we just had an expert on who, before I even brought up the odds, laid out how this should be a closer fight than minus 460. And now I'm thinking, well, there's always going to be that one fight that is going to be the true shocker here. And trying to get even more updated odds on the Woodley Burns. I have it here in PA and FanDuel at 172, 146. Minus 172 for Woodley, plus 146 for Burns. Is that about where you have it as well?
I haven't actually gotten a chance to
log into the app yet. I know you're working and everything. You can be here forever, so you can add some excitement to the matches.
Yes.
But Dern, I mean, think about this. Cyphers is plus 330. Not even Weaver nor Green in their respective fights as heavy dogs are at 300. There's just no way. Watch. Cyphers is going to knock out Mackenzie Dern, and that's going to blow my 4-fight parlay off the biggest upset of the night.
So negative.
I'm hoping, man. I'm hoping.
I know. No, my Bovada app, for some reason, it's not letting me in. I've been trying for like 30 minutes.
That is not like
trying to get in and put some money.
Even veterans in this league who tend to not speak their mind. Rodgers,
okay,
he's going to probably have a lot to say about this organization not meeting the needs of a 13-3 team that was a win away from the Super Bowl.
So gone are the days of RELAX.
Yeah, I think so.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call.
We know Major League Baseball is trying to get back, but eventually it will, and eventually minor league baseball will be back. And if you are a minor league team in need of a change of identity, would you go with Murder Hornets?
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Kind of like with a hat, with a Murder Hornet hat on it, maybe going through some letter or something. Like if you're Chattanooga, you got a C on it, the Murder Hornet blasting through.
Murder Hornet mascot running through the stadium.
Wouldn't it be cool if you have like a race between a bee and a Murder Hornet? Like, everybody, now let's go to the outfield where Harry the Murder Hornet is going to be running against a couple of bees. And you get the fans dressed up as bees and they're running. And if they can outrun the Murder Hornet, they get a prize pack. But if the Murder Hornet catches them, unfortunately, he's got to rip their head off.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pharrell.
The Raiders making almost, $500 million in PSLs in their new stadium. So I always told you, they're going to be the most profitable team in the NFL one day. Count on it because of Vegas and because of that stadium and the amount of events they're going to have there and Super Bowls and Final Fours and everything else. Just the Raiders alone are going to make so much money, make your head spin.
Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. The second level.
I want you to let this play, and I'm just going to go on this big rant on MLB. Let's see what the juxtaposition sounds like with Beethoven underneath me ranting and raving about MLBs. You better go full right now, heavy into the tournament. That's the only thing you can do to salvage this selfish offseason that you've had, to salvage any type of positive PR back from the fans. And don't just expect because it's on TV, people will watch. You can't go George Costanza in that meeting with the NBC president of, well, it's on TV. That's why people are watching. How did that work? It was a little cathartic, hopefully, for you out there. It was great for me. It does feel therapeutic, I think, but only because of the classical music. I don't know if it would work with any other type of music.
The second level. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, CultureMap has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free CultureMap updates at CultureMap.com.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
I want to talk about baseball and the money conversation. What's going on?
I think I'm allergic to.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that later, okay? Madeline, I'm on the air, kiddo. I can't talk right now, okay? We'll talk later, okay? Hold on. Just stay right there. I have a commercial break coming up. This is what I'm dealing with the fiber. And my wife is here. I don't know why. Why is Mommy letting you in here, Madeline? Do you want to come on the radio or what? What?
Yes, now.
Yes, now? Wait, so just say hi, then you can be gone, okay?
I'm going to come on the radio now.
You're on the radio now. That microphone's on. You're on the radio now.
Hi, bye. I have headphones.
Those are headphones. Yes, you do. So, yeah, that's my life now, okay? I'm getting interrupted doing national radio with a 5-year-old running in and out, okay? Thanks, hon. Appreciate it. I'll come talk to you during the commercial break. Oh, boy. Okay.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Game time decisions.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabriel Morency inviting you. No, I'm not inviting you. I'm telling you. Join me and the Raging Redhead Cat Stewart weekdays at 6 Eastern as we throw it down on the loudest station in the nation, SB Nation Radio. It's Game Time Decisions with Gabriel Morency and the Raging Redhead Cat Stewart. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bring it.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 p.m.
Let's
Eastern.
do this.
Game Time Decisions.
What's up, everybody? I am Gabriel Morency inviting you. No, I'm not inviting you. I'm telling you. Join me and the Raging.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready whenever.
Weekdays at 6 Eastern as we throw it down on the loudest station in the nation, SB Nation Radio. It's Game Time Decisions with Gabriel Morency and the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Game Time Decisions with Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart.
Let's do
Weekdays at
R-rated
6 p.m.
sports.
Eastern.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost
R-rated
less by
sports.
booking
There was
on
something else I had
besthotelrates.com.
that was lighter.
Besthotelrates.com.
You want me to tease the idea again?
And room choices
What's that?
for the best prices. Why?
What's his name's idea?
No, that's it. That's R-rated sport. Oh, what idea? Deshaun Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
R-rated sports.
Gotcha. Okay.
.com.
Oh, and MJ. One more MJ story.
This is SB Nation
And then
Radio.
you can promote
SB
Greg
Nation
Peterson,
Radio.
who's at
And SB Nation.
Okay, I got you.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken
81.
Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's A-Time.
Mike's hot.
We head into this third hour waiting. as we get closer, 4 hours away from the highly anticipated main event, Woodley versus Burns. You're going to have a couple of fights ahead of time. Thanks to Drake Riggs, who joined us in the second hour, as he gave us a nice little walkthrough on what to expect, including that Carlisle fight. That's the fight before the fight before the fight. It's been a fun night so far watching along, but I'll say this now. I see another tweet on here. Kyle Marley tweets out, 9-time DraftKings qualifier, MMA handicapper for MMA Odds Breaker, CBS Sports, Sportsline, and beyond at Big Marley 3. If Hannah Cipher submits Mackenzie Dern tonight, Kyle is going to give everyone who retweets that tweet free bets next card. So I don't know. Does quote tweeting count as it does? At least analytics, when it comes to Twitter's data, it does. So absolutely, yes. That should count as a retweet. So if, in fact, this is like hedging my bet. Man, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to stay positive. Maybe it's just because of the day that I had today, walking 18, where it was probably the most forgettable experience I've had since the previous time I was out there, which was the most forgettable experience I've had. I don't know what it is. It's a cloud that's carrying over. You see what happens, Belmer? If I don't play well, it's a cloud of negativity that carries over and permeates throughout the show. I wish I had fun stuff to talk about tonight. I wish I had light stuff, but instead it's just me looking at it with a scour on my face. No,
well, you got to be able to move on to the next play without thinking about it.
I can't because I tell you why. I'll tell you why. In the NFL, every other sport, you can have a fast memory. You can have, what do they call it? You have to have a, not fast memory, quick memory. What do they call it? Something memory, where you just can't, you have to forget things fast.
Yeah.
But
I can't remember what it is.
You can't do that in golf because it might take, if you're playing with 3 other people and you miss a shot, it might take you 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you swing the club again. Good luck not thinking about that bad shot you just hit. It's not like the basketball game you're playing with your buddies. Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. Can't do that.
This is Jake.
That was good.
Financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows. So when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Did you know online alcohol sales have more than tripled since March? Yep, drinking from home is at an all-time high. And Cheers is here to help fight those pesky hangovers. Whether you drink a little or a lot, Cheers is designed to reduce alcohol's negative effects and help you feel better the next day. It works by neutralizing the toxins that affect your liver and replacing the vitamins you lose when you drink alcohol. No more waking up with headaches or nausea after a night of drinking. It's the best thing to happen to alcohol since alcohol. To use Cheers, just take 2 to 4 capsules after your last drink or before bed. If you don't feel at least 50% better the next day, you'll get your money back. No questions asked. To order Cheers, simply visit cheershealth.com/radio and use promo code radio10 at checkout. You'll get $10 off your next order and at least 50% off your next hangover. That's cheershealth.com/radio. Promo code radio10. See Cheers to brighter mornings. Your liver will thank you.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new website for anyone interested in what's happening in the world of automobiles. From reviews on the latest vehicles to vintage rides to tips on keeping your family safe on the road, AutomotiveMap.com has something for you. If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
My name is Megan Eddings, founder and CEO of Excel Lifestyle. Research shows that wearing a face mask drastically reduces the spread of the coronavirus. Excel Lifestyle's Prima antibacterial face masks are soft, washable, and double layer for added protection. To purchase you and your loved one's face mask, please go to excellifestyle.com. That's ACCEL lifestyle.com. Once we receive your order, we will ship your masks out immediately. Thank you and stay safe.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan.
Mike's hot.
All right, so one thing we didn't bring up regarding the zooming into games was a component of that broadcast that can be added in. And I recognize that we're going to have to offer some sort of pay-per-view level broadcast. I do. Or at the very least, a secondary broadcast. Didn't we just have this? First off, The Last Dance had that where you could see the PG version, all the stuff bleeped out, or you could hear Jordan curse and everybody else cursing in that. So I don't think we're far away from that at all. To be honest with you, we're heading in the direction where you're probably going to have two different broadcasts of the same game. One that's going to be, even if it's a Disney Plus or some sort of pay-per-view event, is going to have more. It's going to have language. It's just going to have, depending on the nature of what you're actually watching, it's going to be separate from the kids' version. Right down to, I forget who it is, maybe it's CBS Sports, having a kids broadcast for one of the NFL. Maybe it's like Thursday night or preseason. I don't know. It's something back burner and all of this, but I do remember that there's going to be some kids broadcast or some sort of broadcast play-by-play that's geared towards kids by kids. This is different. This is the opposite. What Deshaun wants to do, and I love it, and it's the first time that I've heard this right now, is try and find a way to mic every single player up and have that as part of the broadcast. To where if you're in the NFL, and it can be anything, linemen going back and forth, it can be a wide receiver versus a cornerback, it can be a running back and a linebacker. Think about all of the possibilities you have right now. If every single player is mic'd up, you've got 22 players on the field, and they all have individual mics. And now, from the broadcast standpoint, when you do a replay and you replay a huge pass or you replay a huge hit or a turnover or even a pile, whatever it is, you now not only have specific video, but you also have the accompanying audio. Can you imagine? Just look at an obvious one, okay? You've got fill in the blank wide receiver. I was going to throw you a bone down there and say DeAndre Hopkins, but I can't really do that anymore. Sure as hell, I'm not going to do it to anybody here in Philadelphia. It's not going to be Alshon Jeffrey or even Deshaun. Deshaun, I can't count on being healthy for 15 of the games that they'll play with this new thing. Michael Thomas, whoever it is, DeAndre Hopkins now in his new home. One-on-one with any cornerback that you want to put up. Doesn't matter who it is. You can go 1-1 or you can go mismatch. Mouse in the house. They messed up over here. Something's wrong with their coverage. They've got a dime back now on Michael Thomas one-on-one. Something happened. Something broke down. Either of those scenarios are going to be gold. And I'm just throwing Michael Thomas out there. Hopkins, take whatever trash-talking wide receiver, running back, linebacker, tight end. It doesn't matter if it's George Kittle or Michael Thomas. But I want to hear. I just don't want to see and settle for that now. I want to hear it. And I'll pay $4.99 a game. and I'll watch these R-rated football games. NBA, we haven't even finished the examples in the NFL, and already you can think of it. What about baseball, the sport that needs everything to come back right now just to stay afloat? How about you mic the umpire up behind home plate as well? All three of them are mic'd. You've got the ump, the catcher, and the hitter. That's a conversation I would like to hear. All of these conversations in sports that you would love to hear. I tell you, the one group of people who are probably going to hate it more, not everyone in the group, but more so than anyone else in the NFL, would probably be linemen. Because you can't get caught on camera or really film, in this case, audio film, meaning like the video playing back with the people talking. You can't get caught on that. All right, man, we're going to take this play off. I'm not going to do anything. You're not going to do anything. Quick hit, pop, that's it. Don't be bouncing off me trying to make a play now. I'm going to take this play off. When you need it, we'll go back. I'll reciprocate. You can't have that conversation when you know you're mic'd up. Hell, you can't have that conversation when the guy next to you is mic'd up. It might pick it up. Quarterback's mic'd up. The center's like, oh, man, screw that noise now. I have to work tonight. I got to play every single down. It's a lot easier. Nobody's going to pick that up on film. Hey, man, what happened there? You barely moved. Because the other guy barely moved. Man, quick pop. I had him. I stuck. Oh, okay. You barely move, and that guy comes flying at you. And then on top of that, you get picked up with a hot mic. Hey, man, we're going to take this play off. It's not going to be a good look. But all of the miscommunication, all of the great communications, again, you go back, it's Michael Thomas in a mismatch. Mouse in the house, he's calling for the ball. Drew Brees or Hill drops back. Thomas is talking to I got you. Like, think about everything that you would hear. Linebacker coming around the corner, about to make a big hit. Eyes up a running back, tight end or receiver coming across the middle. Whatever it is, eyes up a big hit. Starts talking ahead of time. Here we go. Then the running back runs over the linebacker and starts talking back. Everything that you see, right down to fights. It's an R-rated program. I'll pay $4.99 for this. By the way, the Rodriguez-Green fight is underway, and this is the first of 4 for Shander tonight on the 4-fight parlay. In case you missed the interview with Drake Riggs in the second hour, we put together me based off his analysis. He's not to blame, so blame me because I'm the one who actually made the bet. We took Rodriguez at minus 330 over Green. This is live right now. We took Dern at minus 460 over Cyphers, and Roberts minus 360 over Weaver. Of course, those three not getting you great odds even in a parlay, so we had to add a 4th fight. We went heavyweight. We went main event, and that's Woodley Burns. And I took Woodley at minus 172. I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on Burns. Now, I've learned my lesson doing live play-by-play. I'll never be confused for John Anik, that's for sure. Because I have no freaking clue what's happening in these fights to the level of me trying to break it down live on the air. Even if I took a day and broke down the film, I don't know if I could come back tomorrow. Like, I have a better chance of breaking down uncut gems than I do any of these fights. But with that said, there are some interesting turns here, especially when you see a heavy favorite all of a sudden just in a headlock. All of a sudden you see your minus 330 favorite wrapped up. The guy's plus 280. He's got his arm around his head. Not good. Now, one thing we haven't been able to really bring you, because this is something that you can only really get, and it goes back to the Deshaun Jackson idea. That's what we're going to coin it. But these guys don't really have, every now and again you see trash talking and stuff. They talk, they have enough, but they're in such fantastic shape that they can talk. Boxing as well. Now you have the ability. We just saw it with the match where these guys are mic'd up. You know what? Mic up. Everybody that makes the cut, mic them up. I want to see what happens to a guy who's 8th on the leaderboard coming into moving day and winds up last. That's compelling television to me. Watching a golfer explode on the course and hearing what he's saying. Watching somebody hit a shot, 280, sticking it, approach shot right there on a par 5. anything really, really good, anything really, really bad, even the nuance is going to provide some level of entertainment if everybody is mic'd up, and that's part of the broadcast. Deshaun kept it really simple with the NFL and said, all right, we're going to keep this to where you can now hear people trash talking out there, talking back and forth. Might be friendly conversation. It might be trash talk. Maybe Tom Brady has something he's saying to people on the other side. Maybe everybody's running the mouth at Brady. Big hit on a quarterback. You know, people are going to say something. A big touchdown. Quarterback throws the ball 50, 60 yards in the air for a big bomb after he gets put on his back in the second quarter. Probably going to say something. All of these scenarios play out. All of them.
Do you think, though, that the players would actually go for this? Because, I mean, for me, listening to that kind of stuff on the field might change your opinion on the player based on what's said and that we never get to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as a player, do you really want that to be for the fans to hear?
I think if you know that you're going into it with an R-rated event, right? Like it's going to be broadcast on Disney Plus. You're going to pay $4.99 for an R-rated version of a game. $5 times 16. You can watch your team play like this all year. I think, yes, you are going to, well, here's the thing. You're going to have to, if you're worried about public perception and if you're worried about anything, sponsorships, guys might be worried about that, right?
That's another part of it, yeah.
I think that you're going to have to curb it a little bit to the point in which you have to be cognizant of what you're saying. You may not care. I mean, there are probably plenty of people out there that will sponsor a bad boy and put a bad boy or you know, trash talker or some whatever phrase you want to throw out there. Oh, man, we didn't realize that this guy had so much personality. He never says a word. He's under his helmet the whole time. He barely even talks to the media. Meanwhile, he's out there running his mouth nonstop. See, I don't know. I think that it's all dependent on the player itself. And I mean, my goodness, John, you've got how many players in the league, right? You've 53 times 32. I mean, it's ridiculous when you look at all of the players that would have to vote on something like this. I can't tell you. I don't think anybody could tell you definitively how the NFL would vote, meaning you could be right, you could be wrong. It's one of those things where there are so many bodies involved in this thing that have to vote that it's going to be difficult ahead of time to say what would happen. I do think, though, like, look at Deshaun Jackson, okay? Deshaun Jackson is the guy who proposed this idea. Deshaun Jackson runs his mouth nonstop, doesn't stop talking. He clearly, now he's got endorsements and stuff. He clearly doesn't care to the level of impacting public perception. In fact, he looked at it like enhancement of the product and of the broadcast. So as much as you're right, John, in one area where there are going to be people who are now concerned that a sponsor or a parent might hear him drop an F-bomb, there are probably people looking to expand their brand in a similar fashion. So it's crazy because there might be people voting, yes, I want this, just so it could show a different part. Remember, the NFL, you don't get to see them, right? Everybody's under their uniforms, their helmet, and it's a constant battle to be seen, unlike the complete polar opposite would be the NBA, where you're in a jersey and shorts, and everything you do is under such scrutiny because we can see you and we follow along. Now, again, players have used that to their advantage for decades now. Speaking of which, we'll get to an MJ story, one that you might have missed, but it's probably going to be the last one we'll talk about regarding The Last Dance. This thing is fascinating, and you can combine it. Let's combine the two ideas. You can zoom into a game right now if you don't feel comfortable going out. You can zoom into a game and at that point decide if you want access to the mics. See, that I think would be something else. You pay a little extra, maybe it's $50 now to zoom into a game. You'll pay $75, even if they double it, $100. But now you're hearing the mics. Would you do that, John?
Oh, for sure. Imagine this, though. Like, if I think it's just like adding another layer to what you experience. Imagine if they had those mics on last year when Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett had their incident. You know, we wouldn't be sitting here going, well, what did they say? We would know.
It's a great point. Nothing exposes a conversation like a wire. You see that show, you know. That's it. You're right. It was tough. You couldn't find anything on camera, but now everybody's mic'd up. And yeah, there would have to be some sort of discussion on language that can be used versus what can't be used. And or you just pay the $4.99 and say, look, all of these words are being said on a television show at some point and a movie at some point. So you might as well add it here. Now, this is something to think about. We'll talk about this coming up. Greg Peterson in Vegas is going to join us in about 14 minutes, get an update on Vegas and what's happening there beyond this fight tonight. But here's something to think about regarding the Zooming and the mics and everything as far as sports coming back, combined, of course, with you being able to hear everything, with you being able to hear every single word. Because if you're paying this $4.99, we're just throwing that out there as an arbitrary number. I'll explain why it's worth every cent coming up on Eitan Shander.
Into the night.
Completely forgot what I was going to say.
No, it's all right, man.
I was just scrambling right there. I had something in my head. I was like, oh.
And he gets.
And then I teased Greg Peterson, and I freaking forgot.
I didn't expect you. It was weird how you threw the break, so it kind of threw me off, too. It is what it is, man.
Gotta stop the Fortnite, man. I'm kicking ass here. I gotta put down.
You know, the only thing about the Zoom calls, I would say, is the first time it gets hacked and somebody throws a butt on there or something else on there, it's gonna be an issue.
Okay, let's be real. Snellbra probably opened the first page and said, screw this.
He's not getting paid $7 million to read this.
Hell no. 67 pages. You got to pay me double what I was supposed to get.
Then I'm getting taxed.
It's just not worth it, man. It's just not worth it.
I mean, I'm only getting paid to read 20 pages of it.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern.
Wake up call. It's really weird how gambling is now embraced and everyone acts like they never hated it or bothered by it before.
You know what else is getting that same love? Weed.
Same thing.
For years it was taboo, and now we're getting to that point like, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. Same thing with gambling.
Wish my state will legalize it.
Yeah, right? There's a lot of people doing this. Okay, all right, well, you know.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. Raiders and Saints, right? Big game. Opening up the brand new stadium. But you know what's going to be missing? There's going to be like 15 people in the shot. The black hole is going to have like 4 participants.
Do you think only AI and D show up?
That's right. Yeah. AI and D, right. That's the only ones they got. Like, that's all we can fit in. Social distancing.
Both R's.
S is out. Both R's are gone. They wouldn't let them in the stadium.
Which quarterback is going to shush the crowd?
That's what I was wondering. Which quarterback is going to have the guts to go up to a crowd and go, quiet? I would do it every time I was in the red zone this season. That would be my thing. You're going to be able to hear, beer, beer. Which one of you 5 want beer?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah, all right. It's going to be a walk, but it'll be fine. I'll get there.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Into the Night.
Bruce Arians, head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coach, how did the whole Tom Brady thing come together for you?
We did our due diligence, and all the guys that were expected to possibly be in the free agency, we broke them all down. And, he was at the top of our list. And then when he decided to leave, we made the phone call, and he and I hit it off pretty good and started working on contracts. And he was interviewing me as hard as I was interviewing him.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. This is SB Nation Radio.
And SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's
Mike's hot.
So one thing to take a look at. Oh, real quick, that fight's over. Did you see how it ended? There's no way it would have ended any other way. Heavy favorite takes home. Daniel Rodriguez wins. 12-1, 8-fight win streak. He's gasping a little bit, so he broke a sweat for sure. But it looks like he connected a couple of times on Green, and that was it. I mean, Green just really didn't have a shot there. And I'm glad because I remember when I brought it up in the first segment, Green had Rodriguez just a little bit, not to the point where it was any finishing power or the fight was over, but quick glance, you look up and think, oh, man, that's not where you want your minus 330 favorite to be by any means. It's just not. At Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Shows, how you follow along. 800-224-2004 is how you can call in as well. I will say that looking at the return of team and group activity in the world of sports is going to be very interesting in one regard, and that's going to be what happens with all of the things that you get at the stadium experience. Like, are you still going to, even if it's like 20%, let's say, or 25% capacity, are you still going to get something along the lines of the people going up and down with the drinks, concessions? Are all the stores, the merchandise, is everything going to be open? Or is it going to be something along the lines of where it's just going to be pushed online? If I'm doing that, I'm just pushing everything online. If I'm an arena and I'm going to allow my arena to be 30, 40, 50% full of capacity, then I would look at it and think, 50% capacity. Do I really need these stores open? I know that it's going to really be a bad thing for some people that rely on seasonal work. And I'm not pushing for anybody to lose their job. I'm just looking at it from a preventative standpoint. Then I would say everything is done online. Now, you're still going to need people to field orders. You're still going to ship. You're still going to have some centralized area where your merchandise has to go from and then to out to everybody. So you're still going to need some sense of manpower, but I also wouldn't even risk it at this point. I'm just looking at it and thinking, all right, if I have, I don't know, this arena that fits 30,000 people, let's say, and you've had 15,000 people in there, then I'm telling everybody, get on your phone. You're on your phone anyways. You want something, here's a discount code. Give people 15% off the store when you go online. Have an app, create an app that's just for merchandise. You want to buy a program, you want to buy one of those big ass styrofoam hands, whatever it is, you've got it in front of you. You can buy it. You can move it. That's it. You don't need, food's a little different. I get food's a little different. I don't necessarily know how you do that outside of what's going on now, where you can have a lot of the stadiums, a lot of the arenas will have, especially NBA, NHL, restaurants, bars that are straddling the line where they're technically in the stadium, but you can get in on the outside. You might need to show a ticket in order to get into the actual arena or stadium. And Citizens Bank Park has this in Philadelphia with McFadden's, where you can walk into a sports bar, hang out, eat, drink, do whatever there. You can't get into the stadium, even though the bar's in the stadium. You can't actually get in the other side without a ticket. So that's definitely doable in this regard as well. I think you can really maximize spacing and you can maximize safety and preventative measures by closing down all of the non-essential things inside of the arena. And I would just be pushing the hell out of online merch. You go in there, you're sitting there, I can buy a jersey. It's what happens anyway. We're all impulse. Everything we do is impulse. All right, the MJ story, I know it's tight. We'll get to Greg Peterson coming up. Rip Hamilton told this story on the All the Smoke podcast. LaRon Profit, Maryland's own. LaRon Profit told MJ when MJ was the president of basketball operations with the Wizards, he told MJ, you can't guard me with them old-ass knees. And at that point, Rip Hamilton continues the story. He says Jordan wasn't having it. He was so incensed with LaRon Profit's comments that Jordan traded Profit to Orlando. Hamilton says MJ told him, quote, your man, your buddy, he's out of here. Ruthless. Now, I don't know how much LaRon Profit would have helped the bottom line as far as wins when it comes to keeping him in Washington, but if this guy is acting like a dictator on some whim now as a owner with the Hornets, then my goodness, you could explain everything right there. Somebody probably looked at him wrong. Man, you don't have it what you like. What? That's it. You're on to Memphis.
Jay Farner here.
That was good.
Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most.
Like people telling you what they did?
No, the service that I was part of that I never
And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 833.
Oh, okay. So it's just whenever there's events, it sends you ideas of what to bet on?
Or if they like a bet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thompson.
That's worth it if you really, if you're into it like you are, where you bet every day pretty much.
Your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape. So
you don't use the service anymore?
Genics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more.
I do. I just don't pay attention because
You want to get back into shape?
I'm not betting on
All you
Korean
have to
baseball.
do is send one.
Yeah.
Frank's right. Just text MAINE to 321-321 to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And guys, she'll like the difference too.
Nugenix samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text MAINE to 321-321. That's MAIN to 321-321.
Attention all timeshare owners. Is this what you'd like to do with your timeshare contract? Do you own a timeshare and just want out? Thousands of timeshare owners are getting out of their timeshare contracts with the help of Timeshare Compliance. Timeshare Compliance can legally terminate, tear up, shred, eliminate, trash your timeshare agreement, ending your payments forever, saving you thousands. So whether you're a victim of a high-pressure, dishonest sales agent, or you were misled with what you were buying, or you overpaid and they underdelivered, call Timeshare Compliance now for a free consultation. With one simple call, the trusted professionals at Timeshare Compliance can legally rip up your timeshare agreement and help rip up your financial suffering. You could save thousands. Call now before another payment is due. Timeshare Compliance is A+. All
right, he's on for you.
This Bureau. Call 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963. 800-718-2963.
You're going on a trip, but where are you going to stay? How much will it cost? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com, it's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's A-Time.
A lot of things happening in the world of sports centralized in Las Vegas, including, of course, the fight night tonight. And that's where we find Greg Peterson at GUnit_81. Hooping with Hoops, MLB Overtime Betting, VSiN Live. You can hear him there and see him as well. And always a pleasure, Greg. Read him in the New York Post. Eitan Shander here on SB Nation Radio. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Eitan.
Likewise, man, for joining me. Always appreciate your time and conversation. Let's start big picture. What's Vegas like right now? We've seen everything from it being a top candidate for the NHL hub city to the NBA thrown in there alongside Keith Smith's Orlando idea. UFC is happening as we speak right now in Vegas. It seems like things are going okay outside of maybe all the casinos back open.
Yep, and the casinos are going to be opening back up next week. June 3rd, June 4th is the date for all these casinos to get back up and running. But as of right now, you can still place bets in Las Vegas, and it's actually through curbside betting. Places like Circus Sports, Westgate, the South Point, they've actually all been offering that, which I think is a little bit ironic. It's strange, but so are the times right now. So things are certainly going well there. You mentioned the fight night that's going on tonight. That's big. The state of Nevada in general was a little bit slower to reopen, but it seems like things are getting back open. What's going to be happening with the NBA, no one knows, but certainly there is a lot of excitement in the city, as well as there's going to be a minor league hockey team that's going to be starting up in nearby Henderson, which pretty much is a part of the Las Vegas general area. So things are starting to open up, and we are expecting a lot of people in the city come next week.
NHL looks to be locked in from what we're hearing outside of Vegas. Is that right? That it's pretty much going to be the Western Conference hub city?
It most likely will be. I don't know exactly all the hub cities, but certainly Las Vegas, in pretty much every proposal that I've seen, they are going to be the main part of the Western Conference. Who knows what's going to be happening with the Eastern Conference? I mean, we've seen so many things with regards to like North Dakota and everything like that, but it just does sound like with everything reopening these last couple weeks and the casinos getting back and up and running this week, Las Vegas is on track to being that hub city.
Unbelievable. And I know you mentioned that we still don't know about the NBA, although they've kind of gone back and forth between Vegas and Orlando with the Keith Smith idea. Is there any discussion? I know at one point Vegas was going to be looked at as a possible hub city for baseball. Is there any discussion at all about Vegas playing a role in MLB's return?
I don't think that they are going to have it in for MLB just because of, for one, the facilities in general. You do have a couple minor league fields, but as we know out here in Las Vegas, which is the big concern with if you put everything in the state of Arizona as well, just the heat. I remember I was outside yesterday. It got up to 108 degrees. Certainly not necessarily the world's greatest baseball weather. So I just doubt that baseball is going to be played here. And let's be honest here, at this point, we don't know if we're going to be getting a baseball season anywhere, because I know that a lot of the proposals that we've seen recently is trying to get the MLB back in their own ballpark. But we need an MLB season in order to get those games back in the home ballpark as well.
How much excitement was built up? I know it was a formality the other day in which the Nevada Athletic Commission allows fight night to go on tonight, but just the build up and kind of the expectation for a UFC card to return to Vegas. What was that like, the discussions leading up to that?
It was huge because if you remember last month, the NFL draft was supposed to be happening here. People were getting all excited for that for years. As we know, COVID-19, that really wiped that out. So people around here have just been starving for a sporting event. As we know, the Las Vegas Golden Knights were getting off to a very nice start to the season. They were really starting to peak when COVID-19 hit. Obviously, they're going to be in the postseason, and it looks like we're going to be getting some hockey here in the area at some point. But just to be able to get an event back in Las Vegas for tonight, being able to get a little bit more tourists next week with the casinos reopening, it's just a world of good news for Las Vegas, a state that right now has the highest unemployment rate that we've ever seen for any state in the history of this country.
Unbelievable when you're looking at now the return of sports, and then you mentioned the casinos. Here, Philly, Atlantic City, we're waiting for that bated breath. But just based off of the numbers, then the science, and just kind of, as you mentioned, the different regions, it looks like the casinos are going to be open, as you mentioned, way earlier than over here. Is there anything, because I imagine just day to day, the discussions about how the casinos are going to look and how many people are going to be allowed at the table. Honestly, Greg, I'm most curious about poker. How is poker going? Do you know, as far, are they going to put shields up? Is it only going to be 2 or 3 people at a table? Do you have any idea so far what the practices that are going to be instituted for the casinos are going to look like?
I think it's really going to be on a casino by casino basis. We have seen some of the photos on social media in which you do have the big giant shields. And I can tell you right now, being someone that I'm not like a massive poker player or anything like that. I did grow up watching a lot of the World Series of Poker when I was in high school and everything like that. But trying to play like four-handed with a big giant shield with poker is something I would want absolutely no part of. When it comes to like dice, they're obviously going to be doing a lot of washing with regards to the dice. And I've been hearing about virtual chips as well. I don't think that this is going to be a reality, but I know that this is something that certainly they want in the works because, as we know, they want to prevent as much touching of objects as humanly possible. But with poker, it is going to be a casino by casino basis. At some casinos, it's going to be in. Other casinos, it is probably going to be out. But I know that there is an effort to try to keep poker games going as much as possible.
You have anything tonight that you were looking at with this card? And we could start with the main event. And I had a 4-fight parlay going here where I just took heavy favorites, and the fourth fight I threw in with Woodley just to kind of get some value there. But the Roberts fight at 360, Mackenzie Dern at 460, and Rodriguez, who just won, at minus 330. I don't know if you were looking at the main event. Maybe Burns has a shot to upset Woodley.
I know that Burns is right now getting good value as I'm seeing it at Turca. It's at plus 155, but we know that Woodley has been such a stalwart when it comes to the UFC. But what I'm actually going to be taking a look at, if I were to bet something on this UFC card, would be the over-under round prop in this main event. It is at 4.5, and if you wind up taking over 4.5, you get plus 150, so you're pretty much betting that it's going to go the distance. We've seen Tyron Woodley be a very good defensive fighter. There are times where the guys are just trying to go at his knees and everything like that. He does just a great job of being able to defend. I remember a couple years ago, he just had one of the more insane championship fights that you're ever going to see. So I'd be taking a look at the round prop on this one rather than Woodley at minus 175 because I think he should be able to win the fight, but much less value there as compared to betting that it goes the distance.
All right. Are you paying attention legit? Because if you are, then I need to start listening. Because you're one of the few people I would trust on stuff that's not the norm, like the Big Four. How much are you paying attention to Korean baseball?
I've actually been watching it every single night.
I'm not shocked at all, Greg.
What's really nice is that ESPN always has a broadcast of these every single night. Now, I will point out right now, I've been getting my rear end kicked by KBO right now, but I've been paying attention to it every night. I do think that the Lotte Giants have a good chance of being able to take down the Doosan Bears. That's a game that starts at 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. They've got a guy that you'll actually remember on the mound for the Lotte Giants. Dan Straley pitched for the Baltimore Orioles last year, a few years ago. He was with the Miami Marlins and the Doosan Bears. They've got one of my favorite fades from the MLB of all time, Chris Flexen. He had his career 8 ERA with the Mets. He seems to be giving up quite a few walks. The Doosan Bears have been dealing with some injuries with regards to the middle of their lineup. Jose Miguel Fernandez is hitting 475. I don't think that that's going to last. And the Lotte Giants, they were on ESPN a few nights ago. They were just the victims of bad luck the last couple days when it comes to trying to get in runs. They were facing an 18-year-old pitcher, and in the first inning, bases loaded with 1 out, no runs to show for it. Bases loaded, second inning, 1 out, no runs to show for it. Men on second and third, the next inning after that, no runs to show for it. I think that their luck turns around. I'm looking at them at a plus 150 price.
150, that's not bad at all. It looks as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you pretty much have 3 teams that are more locks than not. I mean, if you look at the NC Dinos, you mentioned, right, the Bears, these teams are routinely in the high 100s or low 200s, it seems, unless they're playing each other in matchups, knowing, of course, the league isn't that big anyway.
Yep, that certainly has been the case with these. The LG Twins are a team that is second in the KBO right now. You're finding them as a minus 115 favorite against the Kia Tigers. And
yeah, I have them at minus 120.
The Twins have been they've been undervalued a little bit because they got off to a little bit of a rough start. They took, I believe, a 2-4 start. Ever since then, they've been really picking up some fire. And what you want to note with the LG Twins is that they've got the leader in the KBO in regards to home runs in Roberto Ramos. This is someone that was in the Colorado Rockies organization last year. He hit 300 with 30 home runs. But as we know, the Colorado Rockies, they are not necessarily good when it comes to being able to gauge the talent/lack thereof in their farm system. it looked like there was a little bit of a logjam at first base. So at 25 years old, he decided to go into a KBO, and probably the best decision that he's ever made because he's getting all sorts of eyeballs that he would have never been able to get in the States. If he would have made the 40-man roster, he probably would be just on the bench for a variety of the games for the Colorado Rockies. So he's someone that has really benefited through all the weirdness that we've seen with baseball this year.
All right, NASCAR. Are you involved in this? I'm just trying to get as much insight and sponge as much as I can, because unless there's something else that you've paid attention to during this crazy time, and again, I wouldn't put it past if you have an inside track on table tennis right through that Bundesliga that's back up. So outside of Korean baseball, Greg, what's the one sport that you've been paying attention to the most regarding, betting outside of, the big ones that we're waiting to come back?
My main one has been the KBO. I have done absolutely nothing with Russian table tennis, and let's call it by its proper name. It's ping pong. I mean, it's just one of these things where it's like, I've been hearing a lot of situations in which there might be a little bit of fixation with regards to these matchups as well. It's very, very strange. It's just something I want to absolutely no part of. When it comes to NASCAR, I haven't really been betting it, but I can tell you right now, I've got a couple friends that they have been looking at NASCAR. The big thing is, rather than looking at odds to win the race itself, you actually have matchup props, much like what you find with regards to golf. You're able to make some good money there. And from everything I've been hearing, what has really been profitable for those that have been betting NASCAR so far this year is just taking the plus money with regards to the matchup props. Because as we know, guys have been taking some very questionable pit stops, to say the least. You've obviously got your crashes. Guys get angry. These guys are trying to stay in their teams as well. So I've been noticing that a lot of people that have been betting NASCAR, they've been having the most success by betting the plus money when it comes to these matchup props.
Greg, always appreciate you, man. Chat soon. Stay safe.
Great to be out with you. Thank you.
Sorry, man. I was going to say, stay safe and appreciate it. Thanks, Greg.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. At GUnit_81 is Greg Peterson, one of the smartest guys that we can have on this show, and he's paying attention to everything. Everything. We'll wrap the show next year on SB Nation Radio.
Into the night.
Ernie Johnson, the host of the NBA on TNT, joins us right now. Ernie, so it seems to be a lot of pushing and pulling from different sides around the NBA on whether or not to get this thing going again. Do you feel that that's going to happen?
Well, I mean, if there's pushing and pulling in the NBA, it's just a reflection of the society that we're living in now, too, because you see states, some are opening things back up quicker than others are, and others are exercising more caution. And so I think it's the same way with the NBA. I mean, you're dealing with 30 NBA cities, and the rules aren't the same for everybody. So that makes it impossible, Tony, to say, oh, yeah, well, it looks like things are right on track to start playing again on this date. And I've said it since day one. If you're going to go back to work on this, if the season is going to resume, man, you better be pretty darn sure that this is safe and you won't have to worry. And to me, you can't do that yet, certainly. And I don't know if we will see a resumption of the season.
Into the Night with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Weeknights at 10 Eastern. Pharrell.
Coast to coast! You know SB Nation's taking over the world, right?
Why, of course.
It's Pharrell here from Sports Grid. Here's what happened. They signed Pharrell Coast to Coast and Morency Game Time Decisions, put it on from 4 to 7 East, and then everybody else in our path, what we're doing is we're destroying them.
Total, complete, absolute annihilation.
And it's a lot of fun.
Oh, this is going to be good!
Pushing the Odds with Matt Perrault.
Tim Brando on Twitter to follow him, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. People are saying without students on campus, you can't play college football.
We can thank Mark Emmert for opening his mouth and inserting foot. Mark Emmert has no jurisdiction really over college football, but there's a little thing called the 1984 Supreme Court lawsuit won by the universities of Georgia and Oklahoma that forced the NCAA out of the financial realm of college football. It's like the guy in the California system making this sweeping statement about nothing but online classes later in the year, and he's making the decision with data in May. These guys that just want to see their names in print, making bold decisions that they don't have to make, they illustrate what happens with misuse of power. And the real leaders are doing the right things behind the scenes, and they'll make their splash when the time comes. And I'm telling you, I think that time will be sometime next month.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
You seen there was a rocket launch today, huh?
I don't know where
I
to go
thought they
for that
delayed
pregame
that.
drink.
No, they launched it. It went off good.
Really?
Someone on Twitter posted, James Harden must be so confused watching a rocket succeed in May.
No.
Your map has it all.
I was like, oh.
Why not visit some of the best places to shop or see some of the sites? Culture Map has extensive coverage on all the things to do in the city you're in. So check out culturemap.com. That's Culture.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, though. They succeeded with it, so it's going.
This is SB Nation Radio,
And SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan.
Mike's hot.
So I missed this. You're telling me that a rocket went off and you knew because of a shot at James Harden.
No, I knew because I seen it on the TV earlier, but I seen the shot on James Harden just now.
Is that right? Okay. Let's work in reverse. What was the shot at James Harden?
Somebody put on Twitter that James Harden must be so confused seeing a rocket succeed in May.
Did it succeed? I thought they delayed this thing.
No, it went off today.
Is that
It
right?
went off today, yeah. A couple hours ago.
Wow. Unbelievable. Now, where did it land? Do we know?
I think it's on its way to the International Space Station. It's not there yet, but it'll get there.
Okay, so this is going to go up to the International Space Station. Who's on this rocket? Anybody?
There was two men on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. I didn't know this. We're sending people to space. This should be a big thing, isn't it?
I believe it is. This was the first privately sponsored one, I believe, as well.
Okay. This is Elon Musk's deal?
I believe so.
Okay.
SpaceX.
Now, this is the goal here, is to sell people the experience of going to space. That is the next thing. You go anywhere you want on the planet right now. If you have the money, there isn't a place that you can't access on this planet. The next status symbol is to say, well, I'm going into space. Huh.
I'm not going with you.
No. I'm good here. Like at
Me
this
too.
point, I don't know if I'm going on a flight to Barbados or anywhere beautiful. I don't know.
Well, there's no coronavirus in space.
True, but there is coronavirus leaving this planet going up to space, and that would that not be the ultimate kick in the stones?
Yes.
Right? You're traveling from here to space, and on your way into the rocket, you come into contact with somebody in a virus, and now you have to spend 5,000 light years suffering with this virus. No, I wouldn't even take any type of precaution with that.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely horrible.
It's pretty crazy, though, right? Pretty crazy that this thing didn't even get any, and rightfully so, because what's happening with George Floyd and also the pandemic, which is now to a lesser second conversation, and then all the idiots that are going back and forth trying to make both of those things into polarizing and division. So, yeah, I would imagine that a rocket launching would probably take the back seat, right? Now, when's the next one? I guarantee you, if this thing goes off without a hitch, Elon Musk will start sending people into space every month. That is going to be an insane line of industry right there. I'm not doing it. John's not doing it. Hopefully you won't either. Thanks,
All right,
brother.
Anton. I'll catch you tomorrow. Let me know what you need for tomorrow, and I'll send you the email.
You got it, brother.
All right, catch you later.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, everybody.